Underdog Fantasy is the fastest-growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.
The Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
It's hard to be humble when you're from Arkansas, which was funny on many levels, because why would you be proud of being from Arkansas? That's number one. Arkansas is a terrible place.
And Rich Crage.
Like, this all started because someone liked a tweet and got annoyed about it.
Everybody log off. Throw your phones in the body of water closest to you. Stop. This is all terrible. I hate it all.
Yeah, it's all so dumb.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I'm Rich. He's Joe. In the clip I played in the intro, you say it's all so dumb as we're talking about social media, and just wrestling in general is so dumb these days. It's ridiculous. We had a conversation this week where we're just, remember the good old days where we could just, let's go through the WWE Network, you know, let's find an episode of Mid-South and talk. We can't even think about doing that stuff anymore because wrestling is just so dumb every single week. It's the stupidest, dumbest thing ever, but I also love it so much. It's and this is another just idiotic, dumb week in wrestling, and I love it.
Wow. Craich is going off, as they say on the streets. Do they still say that on the streets?
I haven't been on those streets in a while, so that's...
Now you don't frequent the streets?
No, well, what was the... Alfred had a the streets are talking tweet not that long ago. What was his...
No, that's his gimmick.
The streets, aka World Wrestling Entertainment PR.
When he does the overnight...
Oh, the streets, yeah. The streets are giving him
the Fast Nationals, and he's getting them from the streets.
Right,
that's his gimmick.
Right. Well, I'm not on those streets. Those go to my junk or my spam or whatever. Never received an email from World Wrestling Entertainment PR. I've tried to get on lists. I've tried to get free tickets and stuff. They never get back to me, so it's all right.
Yeah.
I don't go to their stupid shows anyway.
Well, still,
I will take a board though. I'll take a cheese board though for sure.
Still the only pro wrestling company to ever pay us a
Correct. Yes. Yeah, that is always one of the funny things when we're you know, the voices of wrestling getting payoffs from AEW and payoffs from New Japan and Kadani paying us and Harold paying us and stuff. The only wrestling company in the world that has cut us a literal check that went into my bank account is World Wrestling Entertainment. So there you go.
Yeah, your bank account.
Yeah, you saw it. Oh, that's fine. That was Daniel Bryan, man. Thank you to Daniel Bryan and the Yes Movement. I'll tell you that. That was very fruitful for those T-shirt sales for a while.
Yes.
And then we started, so there was like this WWE shop account that would like randomly tweet out when like a new shirt came out. And during the early days of, you know, Voices of Wrestling, I would retweet that with like, whoa, hey, great shirt, like buy it here, and then have the link to, you know, our affiliate link with the WWE shop or whatever. But then little by little, I just started burying all their shirts. And then I realized after a while, like, man, I haven't seen a new shirt from WWE in a while. And that account blocked us because they were like, stop making fun of all of our shirts, please.
Yeah.
You're trying to, and it would be like, I'd be like, this shirt fucking sucks. Here's the link to buy it. And they were like, please stop doing this. No one's buying any shirts anymore from you. So
I gotta be honest, I can't blame them.
No, I mean, they should have blocked us for sure.
Those were aggressive tweets.
Right. We were also costing ourselves money with it too, but I couldn't lie to the listeners. I couldn't lie to the followers. They were horrific t-shirts, and the world needed to know about them.
Well, I mean, when you're putting out the John Morrison, Jomo Sapien, we're going to eat your lunch t-shirts, what do they want us to say?
Right, exactly. I have to bury it. I can't just be quiet. I have to bury it, but then also put a link in there in case anybody does want to buy. I was hoping we would get irony buys. Joe, we never got irony buys. That people did not buy shirts that we thought were stupid. So, believe it or not.
Yeah, but bottom line is, still the only company to ever pay us a dime, despite being accused of being paid by multiple wrestling companies.
I wish. Wouldn't that be the life? That'd be great.
I mean, I don't know why these people think that pro wrestling companies are just throwing money to people anyway.
Especially
where did this stuff come from? It was like one day, no one ever said that stuff. The next day, the term co-opted just took over wrestling, and every piece of media was at some point basically accused of being co-opted and paid by whatever wrestling company they dared give a positive review to or say a nice thing about. It just was very strange.
Right. Especially so because like we were like saying, hey, this 2014 New Japan Pro Wrestling is pretty good. And people were like, nah, these assholes must be getting paid for these opinions that they have, that this wrestling is good. There's no way this wrestling could be good. And there's no way they could say it'd be good unless they were getting a check from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And they were not correct on that, unfortunately.
No. I guess we're breaking kayfabe on that after years of saying that the bagman, Takaaki Kadane, was sending us money. We are now here to admit that we were never paid.
I know. Yeah. After 10 plus years, it is finally time to admit that no, we were not actually getting back the money from Kadani. So
that clandestine meeting I had with him in San Antonio was not, in fact, to renegotiate our contract.
You guys were breaking bread over Coca-Colas. He was a Coke straight guy, right? He was a Coke straight or Diet Coke? He's
a Coke straight guy, and he was pounding them. He was pounding Cokes. I mean, this man enjoyed his Coca-Cola Classic. Let's put it that way. So he was double barreling.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so he'd come back to his little seat there, double fisted.
Oh wow, right? That's a power move, man. That's a hell of a move. Wow.
So he'd crack one open and sit the other right next to his little seat, right? So he'd pound one, and then he was ready with the next. Like he wanted to be ready, So he was, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I've done that obviously with like at wrestling shows. I'll get like a water and an alcoholic drink or whatever. But this man double fisting Coke Classics. That's impressive. That's impressive stuff. That's how you become a power mover and a power shaker in pro wrestling.
True. I mean, technically he was at work, so maybe he's a beer guy during his leisure time. But look, that was all business. He was at an NWA wrestling show checking out a promotional partner. So no time to get drunk, but sugar high, all good. Pounding those Cokes. The beverage, by the way.
Yes,
don't clip us.
For the record, Coca-Cola Classic, the soda pop as
Kadani wasn't doing lines with, he wasn't doing bumps with the one long pinky fingernail, in the bathroom. No, these were Coke Classics in his seat, the beverage, before anyone tries to get, smart out there.
Do you think there's a whole generation of people that have no idea why some people call it Coca-Cola Classic? Because I always, when I refer to that Coke, the Coke that we're talking about, I call it Coca-Cola Classic as well. But do the cans still even say Coca-Cola Classic, or did they take that off now?
I don't think they still say that, but I think, look, I was tempted to say that, the whole new Coke thing, what was that, like 1989 or something?
That was new Coke. I wrote about it recently, and then I forget what the exact year was. I think it was prior to me being born, though, the new Coke. 85.
It was a long time ago. 85. Yeah. So I feel like, there's a whole generation of adults who weren't alive for that. But the thing is, it is I would say it's a pretty well-known failed marketing scheme in pop culture, but you can never underestimate how stupid people are. So there are probably a lot of people who never came across it. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
well, especially calling it Coca-Cola Classic, because it's like, why would you call it Coca-Cola Classic? But you had to in a certain year, because then, after New Coke failed miserably, they had Coke 2 out and about, and you could buy Coke 2, which was the new Coke, and then you could buy Coca-Cola Classic. But like that went on, the Coca-Cola Classic thing, I think went on, at least as far as I remember, into like the early 2000s, where New Coke was still out there as Coke 2, and if you wanted Coca-Cola Classic to buy Coca, it was called that. Yeah. Whereas now, from 2002 or whatever on, or it might even be, I don't even know when it was. Like it might even be later than that. From that point forward, you didn't have to specify Coca-Cola Classic, because like Coke 2 was gone and nowhere to be found anymore.
Yeah. Remember Pepsi Clear?
Crystal Pepsi? Yeah.
Crystal Pepsi.
They brought it back not that long ago. It's pretty funny because did you have Crystal Pepsi in the day?
I'm sure I did. I don't remember though.
Yes, people got really upset about it, and you taste it, and it tastes exactly like Pepsi, and it's like, yeah, it's just Pepsi without the food coloring. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's not the drink you're drinking is not actually brown. It's a concoction of random things in a can, and then they put food coloring in there to make it look like the color they want it to look like. Your orange soda is not actually orange. You know what I mean? There's not like orange peel in there that's making it orange. It's just orange because that's the food dye they put in it. But like, yeah, Crystal Pepsi blew people's mind. But yeah, you have it, and you're like, yeah, that's just Pepsi without food coloring. That's all it is. But people, they weren't down for it, man. They did not want it.
But isn't there a mental aspect to
Absolutely.
it where it's like, this doesn't taste the same, even though it's literally the same thing?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's why all the sodas. I mean, grape soda wouldn't. I mean, what we call it grape soda, but it's like it's purple and it's doesn't taste like grape really, or maybe it does, but like
I don't think grape soda tastes like the fruit at all.
No, not at all. But we know, like, if you close your eyes and I say grape soda, and you have an idea you know what it tastes like, you know what it looks like, and all the imagery and all the cans have, these giant plump purple grapes on them, and you're like, grape soda. It's just, it makes no sense.
No, like strawberry candy very rarely tastes like strawberries, but it tastes like strawberry candy. Like, what strawberry candy is supposed to taste like. And that flavor is not really anything like strawberries. It's the same thing with the grape soda. I think orange soda, that doesn't really taste like oranges either.
Not really. It's got its own distinct thing.
Like, your brain thinks it tastes like these things because you call it these, but it really doesn't.
Right.
They really don't taste like these things. I would say that vanilla flavored sodas do taste like vanilla.
Yes, I would agree.
That one is accurate.
Like vanilla Coke just tastes like you put vanilla extract into a Coke. That's fine.
But any fruit like black cherry, that's not what black cherries taste
not at
like.
All.
Right? So, and I guess with candy, the only one that tastes like the actual fruit would be like banana candy, like banana runts. They taste like bananas.
Do they taste like bananas? I haven't had a banana runt in a while. I need to.
Well, runts. There's like I don't like banana runts, but there's some people who like. You'll watch our chat in about.
I like the. I like the banana runt as well. I just haven't had it in a while.
Is going to explode because there are people who love the banana runt. I think it's the best runt. That's the only one I don't eat. Like, I'll hand you back the box of runts with just the bananas in it. I don't want the banana runt. But I have to admit, it does taste like banana, at least more so than the other.
Innocuous colored runs that all just taste like sugar that have no taste.
Like sour apple candy does not taste like a green apple at all, but what sour apple candy is supposed to taste like.
Yes, and that was and I didn't do a review of this one, but there was that Mountain Dew thrashed apple. I don't know if you had a chance to have it, and essentially what that one was essentially just that sour apple, the candy you're talking about, the sour apple candy, or specifically like the kind of the lollipop or whatever, the caramel apple pop, the one that just immediately takes out all of your fillings and destroys your teeth like immediately. You put it in your mouth and every cavity emerges and every filling pops out within seconds.
Yeah.
It was that like melted into a can, and it was a little disgusting because it was like eating 17 of those at the exact same time in like soda form. So it was a little rough, but
yeah. It's funny though, like you'll defend Butterfingers though, even though they destroy you. Like you can't get that out of your teeth.
No, but see, that just gets stuck in your teeth. These things just rip at your teeth, like just destroy your teeth.
Like if you got a loose tooth, it's coming out.
It's absolutely coming out. Yeah,
it's coming out. Yeah. How'd we get here?
I have no idea.
Kadani slamming cokes.
Yes, Kadani slamming cokes, and I guess I could. Well, I'll plug it later, but Mountain Dew. Review coming to flagshippatreon.com as well. New Purple Thunder.
Ooh.
Blackberry and plum, Joe, is the it is being said that it tastes like. It doesn't taste like that, but I do give it a very extensive review. But people listen to that later. It's not up yet, but up soon.
The resident chat know-it-all, the Swink, has informed us that they dropped Classic from the name after 2009.
Wow, see, I didn't think it would have lasted that long, but there you go. So you should everybody should notice, but like you said, you never underestimate how stupid people are. So
yeah, That guy, the Swink, he does nothing but correct us for 3 hours.
I know.
He's the chat corrector. That's what he is.
He was Rosemont Horizon splaining me last week, and I'm like, brother,
yes.
I've been to the Rosemont Horizon.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm doing a professional broadcast.
I was a Chicago Rush season ticket holder, man. All right, arena football. I know about the Rosemont Horizon. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to do a live professional broadcast. Okay. I don't want to be Hamba explained that I forgot he was a Triple Crown champion.
Yeah. How dare you? By the way,
I'll take the L on that one. I mean, you
made me think I was nuts because I was like, man, I swore he won the Triple Crown because that's always my go-to. And then I was starting to remember, oh my God, who else did I say that to? Like, it really kept me up almost all night thinking about like, oh man, I've always kind of said, the most random Triple Crown guy is Hama because Hama's so funny and he's giant and he's obese and it's like, he's hilarious. And it's like, hey, do you remember he was a Triple Crown winner? I've been telling people that for years. And then you were like, nah, I can't possibly be him. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Shit. I was like, now I'm an idiot. Now, like, Alan Kunan thinks I'm an idiot because I referenced it once during a podcast we did together, and I was like, man, damn. But you were wrong.
You don't want to let Alan down.
No,
right?
and that's I felt bad about that for him to be like, because the best thing about Alan is like you would say that on the show, and instead of just like interrupting you to tell you were wrong, he would just be like, yeah, but deep down he's like, this idiot doesn't know what he's talking about, and that's the more disappointing thing. And then him and Sarah. At dinner, are like, Rich said Hama was a Triple Crown champion. You know what I mean? I'm dinner conversation then, and then it's even more embarrassing.
Yeah. They're putting you down with Irish slang,
right, things I don't even know what I'm being called. Yeah,
absolutely. It's you don't want to disappoint Alan. It's just that's just someone you don't want to disappoint anyway.
No.
But I get, so we got the Swink, who, Tony Reali over here correcting everybody. And,
Does he still do that gimmick? Like, do people know who Tony Reali is? I don't watch that show anymore. So
don't explain it. Don't explain it.
Okay.
Let it hang. Just let it hang in the air.
I'm just not sure if he's actually around anymore. That's interesting.
Stat Boy.
Yeah, is he still around? That's what I'm just, is he still, he's got to be in his like 40s now, right?
No, well, he hosts Around the Horn.
Oh, he hosts it now. Okay, well, good for him.
No. He hosts Around the Horn.
Oh, that was part of the interruption. Right.
Yeah, he was Stat Boy on PTI.
Oh, okay.
And then Kellerman years ago. Reali's been the host of Around the Horn at least a decade.
Yeah, I stopped watching those shows for a while.
Don't worry, the Swink will be here to let us know exactly when that change took place. But it's got to be around a decade at this point. But I think he's still Stat Boy on PTI as well.
Okay, good for him.
With the corrections at the end of the show. So, listen, we're the professional. We don't have time to be right. Okay, we got
the takes. The takes have to come, man. We don't have time to be looking stuff up. We got to be getting takes.
There's no time to be accurate and correct. I mean, we just got to let them fly. This is live. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yep.
I don't know there's a lot to talk about, though.
I know. I'm like, I don't want to get into it because it's also wild, but I guess we need to get into it. So that'll end the banter part of the show. But yeah, we have plenty to get to tonight. We're going to talk about Dragongate, King of Gate. The opening night of the King of Gate tournament started, so we'll talk about that a little bit. All Japan.
That's what you're.
No, I'm not leading off with that. I'm teasing, and then leading into the main topic. Chill out.
That's what you're leading with.
No,
King of Gate.
I guess I'm doing a reverse.
You're kind of burying leads here.
I'm burying leads a little bit, but we'll get to it in a second. We're gonna go into the lead. The lead's just gonna happen. It's just gonna ease into the lead. I know
what you're doing. You're setting it up to lead us into the
right
topic. I know what you're doing.
But starting with Dragongate King of Gate opening round is maybe not the sexiest way to start. Roman Reigns is going part-time. How about that, Joe?
I approve of that. That's a good one.
WrestleMania Backlash premium live event happened this weekend.
Yeah.
It was premium, it was live, and it was an event, and we were going to talk about it. Champion Carnival final. Premium might be, it was live and it was an event, but...
Well, you didn't even watch.
I did not.
You're burying our gimmick. So, Rich did not watch WrestleMania Backlash Triple Mania Premium Live event. He didn't even watch it.
I tried.
No, you didn't. So...
it was not a good effort.
Awful effort. So what we're going to do here, I watched the whole show. I am going to review WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live Event. And of the review, I am going to plant 3 lies. And then at the end of the review, Rich is going to take his notes, listen to me carefully, and see if he can identify the 3 lies that I plant in the WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live Event review. So we'll see if Rich is able to do that. And that's how, because we're so tired of talking about these premium live events when they come around each month, we're going to try to spice this up. So Rich's laziness and
really
lack of effort
it's really paid off
for doing his job has led to a new bit here on the show. And if the bit is good, we'll continue. Because
right.
I'm sure
I
Rich
might
would
never
love
have to watch one of these
watch
fucking things again. Yeah, which would be the best news ever, is that if this bit works, and I hope it does, I pray that it does, that I'm good forever, man. I never have to watch another one of these things. Because we're not switching roles. That's your role, man. You're the lead man. I'm the guest. It's just going to work perfect that way. So you watch them, and I will try to, I think this could work. I like it. I think it's a smart strategy.
So the best part, the other good thing about this is the listener can play along with you, right? If they also haven't seen the Backlash Premium Live event.
The what?
But WrestleMania Backlash
okay.
Premium
Thank
Live
you.
event. Yes.
You call it
So they can
Backlash for a second there. I just got confused what you were talking about. So.
Okay, now I'm going to remind these dopes later, but I'm going to say it now too. If you're in the chat and you've seen the WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live event, don't type the lies out. Don't try to put yourself over like Vic Venom, okay? Because Rich is going to see that in the chat room and you're going to ruin the game. So you can't, don't be pointing out when you catch one of the lies if you watch the show, okay? Don't be putting yourself over because you're going to ruin the game if you do that. So I'll remind these guys again, though, because, Cedar is going to come in here like a bull in a china shop, and he's going to be like, oh, that never happened on the show. He's just going to – so you got to be, I got to let these guys know.
We will do that. That is coming up soon. Roman Reigns, as I said, we'll talk about that. Champion Carnival final. We'll get to the final. Joe's watched some other matches than Champion Carnival as well, so we'll finally catch up with that. And they also have 2 big shows. All Japan has 2 big shows this weekend as well, so we'll talk about them a bit and some of the important matches during that weekend as well. But we're going to start out here with the story we have to start out with. The insane story, the thing that I don't even know where to begin even describing or getting ready for the story. It's just the Kota Ibushi situation. We have been on top of this at flagshippatreon.com since it started. Started with several tweets that came out, people saying, hey, what the heck's going on here? Some translations, and then little by little, it snowballed from there to wherever the hell we are right now. So, Joe, where do you want to start with this Kota Ibushi situation? Because there is a lot of shit going down. There's some stuff, maybe even more going down every minute that we're doing here. And I don't know, are you monitoring the Twitter sphere and your emails and all that sort of stuff? Because I feel like this is the story that just every single time something new is happening, almost on an hourly basis at this point. So I think we might have to have at least one eyeball on whatever's going on. But yeah, this is an insane story. It doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. Where do you begin with this Kota Ibushi thing?
Well, my phone today wouldn't stop blowing. My phone was blowing up today. There's more coming. This story is not going to die. Once Ibushi started alluding to the Yakuza and dark happenings and things like that, that's reached the top of Bushi Road, and there's some new stuff emerging that I'm not prepared to report yet because it's now become a little more serious than telling people what title matches are going to be on the next pay-per-view and wrestlers complaining about, their booker to me. Like, this is stuff that I really need to. And look, I'm not a trained journalist, so it's like, I got to be extra careful when I report this stuff. But,
especially if it involves the Yakuza. It's probably a good time to also just be like, just in case. I'm going to wait until things can kind of work their way through. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the big grenade launched on all of this stuff. I mean, there was a lot of just he said, she said, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of translation here and there, and just some, okay, you know, this guy was pissed about this guy for this, and this guy was pissed about this, and then that bomb dropped a little bit earlier where Ibushi just referenced the Yakuza, and like you said, you know, dark ages and dark things or whatever. And when that happened, it was kind of funny that there was a little bit of rumblings from other people in Japan, you know, kind of not necessarily a direct thing, but a lot of subtweeting, a lot of like, hey, you know what, you got Hideki Suzuki saying his stuff, and I forgot what Hiroki Goto said.
Let me address that. So a lot of the wrestlers in Japan do not like the way Kota Ibushi is handling this, even if they are on his side when it comes to Yasuke Kikuchi. Okay, that's the other thing that emerged since I did my first report behind the paywall. As soon as I put that out, I had people inside New Japan who read the report contact me through a mutual friend, and they were concerned that my sources within the company were confusing two different Kikuchis inside the company. There's two Kikuchis, Rich. There is Yasuke Kikuchi, who is the office person, who's part of the office and is part of, the booking team, his level of influence, to be debated. And I guess we'll get into that later. That's the guy that Ibushi's mad at and who he's had heat with for a number of years, Yasuke Kikuchi. There's a second guy named Taisei Kikuchi who works in the merchandise department. And there was concern that my sources or I, through translations or whatever the case, may have mixed those two men up, because part of the story was Ibushi was annoyed years ago at the merchandise department because he felt he was being shortchanged on T-shirts.
Right.
Okay. But this Taisei Kikuchi, the second Kikuchi, he's a younger guy. He's in his 20s. He works. He's a graphic designer.
Right. He's just making the T-shirts. He has nothing to do with who's getting paid what when the T-shirts are sold and released or whatever.
Correct. So it's highly unlikely that Ibushi would have had beef with him. So through, further talking to people and following up and working through it, we were we're able to determine with almost near certainty that the person that Ibushi is both communicating with and also has had all of this heat with that I talk about in the report is Yosuke Kikuchi. This guy is a pro wrestling lifer. He's been in the business for decades. He has a lot of friends, both in Japan, in New Japan, and outside New Japan. In the report, I noted that at one point, because of issues with the merchandise and some issues with some other things, that he ended up being, hold on, I got to run in here. Yeah, they're fine.
Sure they're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. But
the spots are fine.
Yeah, they're fine. But I will tell you, can I give you an old restaurant axiom? Can I give you one?
Are you talking to me now or the TLB?
No, I'm talking to TLB.
Okay.
Something we use in restaurants is, when in doubt, throw it out. So I'm telling you, I would eat those, but it ain't my stomach. You see what I'm saying? Picking up what I'm laying down here.
Yeah.
Let me see him again.
I'm concerned. Smell 'em.
Yeah, I would eat these, but I'm also out of my mind. So here's what I'm going to say to you. When in doubt, throw it out. If you're not sure, don't eat them.
You may keep them?
I mean,
I don't think I'm going to eat them now.
okay, you do what you got to do. I'm not going to worry about the mushrooms. All right. Okay, that was an inopportune timing for that, but
So what are we debating here? What are we eating here?
she brought up a crate of mushrooms and was like,
A crate of mushrooms. Okay.
"Are these still good?" And I'm like,
Well, they're mushrooms, so no, just throw them in the trash immediately. It's probably the best way to handle that.
well, "You're not a mushroom guy."
Not a
That's
mushroom Did they
I would
smell
eat
and
them.
taste terrible? Yeah, sure. Throw them in the trash.
I mean, they were. Look, they're on the borderline. In a day or two, they're not. I would say they're not, but it's up to her.
Yeah,
I'm not-
you're
right.
it's kind of the same relationship I have with the nurse in terms of like food, because she'll like look at it and be like, I don't know, it doesn't look that good, and I'm like, all right, if it's like meat or something, I'm like, just put an extra couple minutes in the oven, throw it in the microwave for like I'll stretch the limits a little bit more than she will. that applies to fruit as well. I'm like, you can eat around it. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, there are certain, like anything dairy related, if it gets pretty close or it smells kind of funky, I'm good. But I feel like you can toe the line with meat a little bit. You can toe the line with vegetables and fruit a little bit. It's not too bad to, eat around a little bit of, a little gooey. That's all right. You can make that work. So.
Well, Thursday's her salad night because, she can't boil water. So if I'm doing the show, she has to fend for herself. So she makes Thursday salad night. So she just makes a giant salad, and she wasn't sure about the mushrooms. So she came up here with the mushrooms, and that's what that was all about. I don't think she's going to eat them. I think she's going to throw them out.
She did not. She seemed indifferent to it. She was hoping that you would say, no, they're terrible, because she thought they were terrible. Yes. When you said, yeah, they're good, she's still going to throw them out. There's no chance those things are going in the salad. So.
Look, I'm not eating them, so I'm leaving it in her hands. It's up to her. She never goes to work anyway. She's got a job where they get like 1 billion, fucking. You'd think she works in Europe. She never has to go to work. It's incredible. So she calls out so much. It's crazy to me because I never worked jobs where you just never had to go and they would still pay you. It's pretty fucking wild. I'm like, why aren't you? I'll wake up. I'll be like, why aren't you at work? She's like, I called out. I'm like, oh, you're not feeling well? She's like, no, I just told them I needed a personal day.
I just don't want to go to work. Yeah, that's...
I'm like, what the fuck is that? What? You can do that?
I'm pretty jealous, yeah.
You can just call your boss and say, I'm not coming in. Why? It's personal. You can put that. That's a thing you can say. I've never heard of such a thing. But anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, the two Kikuchis.
Two Kikuchis, okay. Yeah. Neither of which, by the way, is the famous pro wrestling Kikuchi that you're probably thinking, oh, I know. No, it's not that Kikuchi either.
Yeah, no, no. It's not the former fucking All Japan guy.
Tsuji Kikuchi, right?
Yes, Tsuji Kikuchi. Yeah, no, this is. I just gave the two Kikuchi.
Yes. Just in case. That Kikuchi is, I think, well, he was as of last year still wrestling. He's not wrestling.
That'd be a twist. But no, Yusuke Kikuchi is the guy that we're dealing with here, not Taisei Kikuchi, the merch guy. And there was only confusion because the other Kikuchi happens to work in merch. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and it's the people wanted to make sure that Kota Ibushi wasn't mad at a graphic designer guy,
or that the wrestlers that we're in communication with weren't confused as well.
Correct.
So, but we got all that worked out. The other points of contention of what I reported and then what was discussed later is it's uncertain whether he was let go in 2019, like I say in the report. I have wrestlers insisting that at one point he was let go during the Harold May regime, but there are other people in the company who say that is absolutely not true, and he never left the company. But I think I've kind of figured out where that confusion came from too. When he left the company, he was immediately hired by the TV station that has partial ownership in New Japan. So a lot of the wrestlers and a lot of people in the company may not have even realized that he wasn't with New Japan anymore because he was always still around. Because he was doing wrestling-related content for the TV station, which I have in the report, actually. That's exactly what it says. So the bottom line here is when you're gathering information for these kinds of stories, especially when you're dealing with people who speak different languages, English is a second language, dealing with translations in some cases, if you talk to 10 people over a pro wrestling story, you're going to get 7 vaguely similar stories that have minor details that are different, and you're going to get 3 completely off the wall versions of the story. Like if you talk to 10 people, throw in the fact that now we're all speaking different languages, and the variance for minor details getting confused or mixed up raises exponentially. So the good thing is I spent a half a day the other day going through back and forth through this mutual friend and working a lot of this stuff out. But the gist of the story is that Ibushi has longstanding heat with Kikuchi, and it only got amplified over the last year or so, with these various injuries and ailments that Ibushi has had, where in some cases he wanted to wrestle and the company doctors and Kikuchi snuffed that out. And in other cases, he didn't want to wrestle, and he felt like Kikuchi was pressuring him to come back before he was ready. That's the case with Wrestle Kingdom, where he gets injured at the G1. And then he felt Kikuchi was very disrespectful to him and said to him in a very disrespectful tone, "We expect you back for Wrestle Kingdom."
Right.
And in fact, Gato got the go-ahead to run an angle on the December, I think it was the World Tag League Best of the Super Junior final, maybe. I forget what show it was, but there was a show in mid-December where they booked an angle where Ibushi was going to come back as a big surprise and cut a promo and set up a Wrestle Kingdom match. But they yanked that angle at the last minute because Ibushi could not wrestle. His shoulder was still too fucked up to wrestle. So that was an instance where the company wanted him back and he didn't want to come back because he felt like he wasn't ready. And
for people that don't know, this consistent with something you did. I just made sure that I found it.
Yeah.
5 months ago, New Japan update: Kota Ibushi, Shibata, Best of the Super Juniors, yada yada yada. Kota Ibushi was tentatively scheduled to appear on today's show, presumably to either set up a match or announce his return for Wrestle Kingdom. The appearance was pulled a few weeks ago, as the company is still not 100% certain he'll be medically cleared in time for the first week of January. The tentative plan is still for Ibushi to return at Wrestle Kingdom, but until that can be set in stone, nothing will be announced. So that is completely consistent with what you reported 5 months ago.
So you could see 5 months ago, I reported behind the paywall that they were going to run an angle on this show and they had to pull it because he wasn't ready. And that from the company point of view, they were still holding out hope that he'd be ready 3 weeks later or whatever it was for Wrestle Kingdom. That's with no knowledge of what was to come.
Right. No idea that this thing was happening. What we're talking about now happening. That's completely separate. That's just at that time, hey, Kota's coming back. Wait, no, he's not coming back. That's all. But 5 months ago, exactly the same thing that you've heard now today as people are kind of reiterating what's going on.
Right. So you can see that there was validity to that then. We just didn't know the huge problem that it was going to be all tied into later. So this is consistent with our reporting on this going back to 2021. But yeah, so, it's not a case of the company wanting him to wrestle hurt or him or Ibushi wanting to come back when he's hurt and the company not wanting him to. It's not that black or white. There's instances of both all along the while. When he had the lung issue, when he was ill, he wanted to come back and New Japan wouldn't let him for the July Tokyo Dome show, the match against Shingo. Okay, I forget what the name of that show was, but it was the July Tokyo Dome show. The company snuffed that out. The Wrestle Kingdom, Ibushi wasn't ready. The company wanted him to work Wrestle Kingdom, but he wasn't ready. New Japan Cup, Ibushi wanted to come back, told him he was ready to come back. They booked him. They put him in the bracket. And then Kikuchi snuffed that out because one of the doctors had a minor concern. And in Kikuchi's mind, that was enough to yank him. And that's when Ibushi got frustrated and said, fuck this. This guy's constantly fucking with me. It's always one thing or another. And that's initially where he stopped communicating with the company. Then he went to the Just Tap Out show and Kikuchi contacted him to question him on it. And that is when this whole thing blew up and Ibushi went public with all of the messages from Line and all of that. So, but the New Japan Cup was the last straw for him. And then being questioned on appearing at the JTO show was where he decided to just blow the whole thing up and go public. And circling back to what you said before, it's not just wrestlers outside the company who are subtweeting him, like Hideki Suzuki and I think Tsuji Ishikawa, if I'm not mistaken, a few others. But wrestlers inside the company, even his allies inside of New Japan, don't approve of the way he's handling this in such a public manner. A lot of them feel like he should be handling it privately or going up the chain of command, which he eventually did because he did go to Gato. And I think Ibushi even tweeted that he went to Gato. I don't even think that.
Yeah, there's been so many random tweets out there and translations, but I think I'm pretty sure that.
But at the time, that wasn't. It's public now. But he went to Gato, and then Gato was trying to play peacemaker between the two. And obviously now he's just totally unloading the Yakuza stuff, and now it's getting really ugly. And now people way up the ladder in Bushi Road who aren't even necessarily involved in the wrestling end of it are involved, and it's just an ugly, ugly mess that's probably going to have many chapters unfold long after this live show ends and people listen to it days from now. So just for clarity, we're recording this at, Thursday night at 8:00 Central. So, I don't know, Rich, do you want to throw questions at me or now okay. So what also was thrown in, this was a big one too, where Ibushi referred to Kikuchi as the booker. Okay. Now this is an area where myself and Joel from the Super J Cast respectfully disagree. And this is another example of you talk to different sources, you get slightly different stories. That's just the way it is in pro wrestling. Now, to be fair to the J Cast, they have preached for a long time. I don't know whether publicly or not, but at least, privately and whatnot, that Gato wasn't necessarily the singular person, the booker in charge, and that there was someone else. And, it turns out now that it's all public that it was this Kikuchi guy. All I can tell you is what wrestlers inside the company and people inside the company communicate to me and to us. And Rich can step in if, he has ever heard of anything different, but I have never heard from anyone from inside the company that Gato is anything other than the final word and the decision maker and the quote unquote booker.
No, and that's the same thing I've heard. And there's been some people that have speculated, well, that's because, you're talking to Western, you're talking to, foreign New Japan wrestlers. Yeah, and that's not the case. Like, I had to point blank, I forget if I said on Discord or whatnot, that no, I have talked to or seen messages from native Japanese wrestlers talking about Gato being that final chain of command. It's not just Western wrestlers. It's not just American wrestlers. It's not just English wrestlers. Because I could get that. That happened a long time with Dragongate. There was this long, and we've talked about it on this show before, where at some point Genki Horiguchi became like, people just accepted that he was the booker of Dragongate. And he would get, votes for Booker of the Year or whatever. And then we come to find out that the only thing that Genki Horiguchi really did was he was the liaison for the American wrestlers. So the American wrestlers would say, yeah, so Genki told me to do this, or Genki told me to do that. And then people just wrongfully assumed that was Genki Horiguchi, being the booker. And then that wasn't, he was just the guy that was being told to tell, the English wrestlers, hey, this is what we want or whatever. And that's not the case at all. That's not what I have heard here. I have heard straight up Japanese wrestlers. I've seen straight up Japanese wrestlers say Gato, mention Gato as that final chain of command. So, yeah, it's a weird thing. Again, maybe
I could tell you. Well, let me just frame it to you this way: with this particular story, the Ibushi story, we have not been in communication with a single American or foreign wrestler. It's all native wrestlers all native Japanese wrestlers who we're getting this information from. So, and look, the thing is, it's not just one singular guy. That's like, if you've been reading our reports going back as long as we've been doing them, there's multiple voices in the room.
Right. And I think that maybe that's the important thing that we need to kind of, now we maybe officially know right now that it's not just, when we give 100% credit for everything being booked, it's not just Gato. And I think that's probably largely what Joel has been kind of saying, but maybe people misinterpreted that. Maybe me.
Joel's contention is, I'll tell you what Joel's contention is. And listen, and this is not shitting on Joel or his sources, but this is what I mean. You could hear different things from different people. What Joel has been hearing all along is that there's a person who plots out the long-term storytelling in New Japan, and that person is not Gato. Not that Gato doesn't have any power. Not that Gato isn't
correct.
Right. But that is different than what we've heard. And again, that's not me disputing him. That's just me telling my listeners and my paying customers what the wrestlers in the company tell me. If Joel's being told something different, he has a responsibility to tell his listeners what he's being told. That's why I say we respectfully disagree on the level of power that Kikuchi has versus Gato or whatnot. But what I'm saying is there's multiple people in the room. Dick Togo has been gaining a lot of influence, and anyone who pays for our paywall knows that. Okay? Jado was Gato's, right-hand man, second in command, whatever you want to call him, for many years. And he's still a voice in the room. Okay? This Kikuchi is but what's always been consistent, no matter who we talk to, Japanese wrestlers, American wrestlers, people that work for the company, and especially from the wrestlers themselves, is that it's always Gato's final word. Gato was the one who made the final decision on when to pull the trigger on the Bullet Club War a couple of months back. We reported that behind the paywall. Togo and Jado were pushing for it, and it was going to happen eventually. And when Gato said, "Okay, we're doing it, and we're doing it next week at Corkin or whatever," that's when it happened. You listen to Tony Khan this week, and he's talking to media interviews how, he's putting together of the Forbidden Door show with who? With Gato, not with Togo, not with Kikuchi, not with some mystery Wizard of Oz shadow booker, with Gato. You listen to, like you referred to earlier, the American wrestlers always say that Gato is the one that they communicate and who books them and is the booker. And it's not a Horiguchi situation, because we speak to the Japanese wrestlers, communicate to us, and we get information from the Japanese wrestlers. And they all say, so I can only tell my listeners what we're told from the locker room, and that it's Gato. So unless, the company has some secret shadow booker behind the scenes, pulling Gato strings, I mean, the wrestlers themselves are under the impression that he's the sitting in the big seat, but the way I think of it is this, Rich, again, we're dealing with people who are English as a second language, or who don't speak English at all, or they're being translated.
Yeah,
and all
putting it
this
through Google Translate or whatever, which is always dangerous.
But, a lot of 99% of the people that we have gotten information from in the New Japan locker room speak English. I mean, we have to clean it up sometimes, and, because sometimes there's, what am I trying to say? There's like
set and structure issues and
minor things like
that. You can't use exact quotes because the sentences don't always make sense. But the subject and the purpose of the sentence, you can always gather. It's just maybe the words are in kind of a weird order, or wrong order, or there's there's no conjunctions being properly used. Or that's fine. That's okay. That's little stuff.
I generally try to note that. If I quote someone directly, I always say, okay, I may have cleaned up transition words or whatever. But okay, think of it this way: if a Japanese fan who does not speak English, okay, wanted to know who was the booker of WWE, and I explained through a translator that, well, Vince McMahon has the final say and is the owner, but then there's
Ryan Ward and Dewey Foley.
Then there's Ryan Ward, who writes Raw, and then there's Bruce Pritchard, who filters idea, and then that gets translated back to this Japanese guy who doesn't speak English. Who knows what's going on? I don't know what the translator is communicating or taking from that. And then if 10 different people, hear that, like, 4 of them might come away thinking Ryan Ward's the booker, 3 of them might come away thinking it's Bruce Pritchard, and the others might think it's Vince McMahon. I think that's what's happening here. Okay, when it comes to, it's like there's a bunch of people doing this job, and it's interpretive. It's interpretive, but I can only tell my listeners what I am told from the wrestlers, and that has been unequivocally every time, 100%. And I directly, you know what? I can read you a quote, because no one will possibly know who's saying it. But I'll read you it, because we asked, what is the difference? Can you break down the difference between Kikuchi and Gato? And if you give me a second, I can pull this up. I can find it. Okay, it's right here. So, and this is a Japanese wrestler in the locker room, a Japanese contracted wrestler. That's not it. Hold on one second.
No worries. Yeah, take your time.
But this is the kind of thing I'm talking about where, okay, here we go. So there's a lot of confusion about, okay, so can you tell me something about Kikuchi? There's a lot of confusion about him since Ibushi's tweets. And this is the response. I'm quoting the wrestler now. He is a senior office guy. He has worked in different roles like booking and talent management. So then we ask, Ibushi called him the booker and matchmaker. And then the wrestler responds, he is one of the booker. And then we ask, but who has more power, Kikuchi or Gato? And the wrestler, direct quote, Gato-san, of course, ha 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 ha. I'm just reading the quote.
Right. So just a laughable idea that Kikuchi is on an equal level,
yes,
or above Gato in that respect.
So that's all I'm saying is, at least to this wrestler.
Right. It'd be like you saying, hey, is Ryan Ward or Vince McMahon more important to WWE? And someone would be like, what, Vince? Are you kidding? What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. That's almost a perfect comparison. Or someone, questioning Bruce Pritchard versus Vince McMahon. It's Vince. So this person laughed off the idea that Kikuchi was more powerful than Gedo. Now, again, is it possible that this wrestler is just ignorant to the power structure because he's just a wrestler, and why would he be privy to it? And that, JCast sources are more in tune? Of course, that's fine. But this is why I say I respectfully disagree. I can only say what I've been told. The wrestler goes on to say, Kikuchi-san's booking power, again, it reads a little weird, became more recently after entry of Dick Togo, but before that, he had almost no power in creative side and just give booking team suggestion how to book for business, is what it says. That's just verbatim. So there you go. I mean, that's just a taste of, it's not like we don't ask the questions. When this Kikuchi stuff came up, I dug. So I can only tell you what I'm told, and that's always been consistent, that it's Gedo. So who knows? But that's just some of the stuff that came up since I wrote the report. The two Kikuchis, the dispute over whether or not he ever officially left the company or not, which we still never got a straight answer on. There's some people who insist he was never let go when his contract ran out in 2019 by the May regime. And then there's other people who insist his contract was allowed to run out because Harold May didn't like him. And when Dick Togo came back to the company, because this guy goes back many years with Togo and Gedo and all those guys, and with Harold May out of the way, they got him back in. So there's two different trains of thought there. The point is, even if he was gone from the company, it was only for like a year or a little less than a year before they eventually got Kikuchi back in. And that is who Ibushi has been beefing with the screenshots from Line. And he's the guy who, he does have some power because he's the one ultimately making a lot of these calls, whether Ibushi is going to wrestle on these shows or not. Or at least, they take him under advisement on those things. Even Ibushi himself, when he mentioned going to Gedo, it was, we had a native, someone who speaks English as a first language who has lived in Japan, who said they interpreted that as Ibushi saying he's going to someone more powerful when he said he was going to Gedo.
Right.
So there's that aspect. So I don't know. So the Booker thing, Dave Meltzer says unequivocally he's always been told that Gato's the Booker. But it's interesting that Western fans are super interested in that. I had that conversation with Joel too. It's like Western fans are fascinated with that aspect of it. Meanwhile, we have this superstar wrestler who might be on his way out of the company. He's throwing around Yakuza accusations.
Right. Who gives a shit who's booking the company?
Giant scandal, and we're all wrapped up in who decides who goes over in the opener and Destruction and Bipu. I mean, that's not what's kind of
I know, yeah,
important here.
And that's what I was going to say. Let's get down to the actual meat and potatoes of what this is all about. I mean, this is Kota Ibushi essentially going scorched earth. He's not been happy with the response that he's gotten from Kikuchi. He's not been happy with a lot of what's been going on in New Japan, and has decided, like you said, much to the chagrin of even his own allies in the company, and has just decided he's going scorched earth on Twitter in just a series of tweets over the course of now, and we're 3 days into this. We're just every minute after minute is this, and sharing screenshots and sharing this and sharing that, and just it is. It's wild. It is a pretty wild thing. It does feel like we're absolutely, and this is even before, and we'll get to the Yakuza thing here in a bit. It felt like even before this that we were at a point of no return where it felt like impossible that Ibushi would ever come back. And I think he even referenced I'm going to get fired or something like that. So before let's ignore the Yakuza thing for a bit. We'll get to that in a sec. Just what we knew from a couple days ago and just what we knew when your report came out, this felt like this is the end. That when you go like this and you go this hard and this aggressive, there's almost no coming back. It feels like it's almost impossible for a kumbaya moment where they get him in the room and they say, "Oh, hey, sorry, man. Oh, we made a mistake. You made a mistake. Let's move on." It felt like that's going to be almost impossible to do. And then now after today's thing with the Yakuza, we're done. There's almost no way A, that this thing goes away in any time soon, and B, that Kota Ibushi is just welcome back with open arms to New Japan again. I mean, just trying to insinuate that there are, scandals and Yakuza involvement, even jokingly, even saying it as a haha joking manner, you just can't do that in Japan. So this feels untenable. This feels like this is not going to end well.
And he publicly threw Kikuchi under the bus.
Right.
which was another one of the reasons why allegedly his contract wasn't renewed, because the company knew that, because the wife went to the company allegedly and complained that he had been cheating on her. And in Japan that stuff's taken a little different than it is here.
Oh yeah, here it's just like boys will be boys or whatever. Like, you are punished. I mean, people don't if you weren't around for New Japan when the Taichi thing came out, like that was a big scandal, and New Japan
which ties into this as well.
Yeah, New Japan basically said, dude, you're gonna get they treated him like absolute shit for months.
I forget what they did with him. Didn't they suspend him too?
They suspended him, and then eventually and smartly, the reason you have the Taichi you have now is because he kind of leaned into that when he came back. Is after they suspended him or whatever it was, I forget. He definitely got punished. I forget exactly what got punished. But then when he came back, then he started playing the character a little bit more of, okay, well, let me kind of lean into this a little bit more, because I can't be the good, clean cut, kid anymore. Like, that's done. I've brought great shame to, and Taka, it goes without I mean, he was another guy as well that got caught up in that, and it just did not go well. At all.
Well, he had to give up his promotion.
Right. That's what I mean.
That's why Just Tap Out exists, because he had. Right. Yeah. So, but.
So it's not a boys will be boys. She was, in America, God only knows what it would be. Yeah.
And that's another aspect of it, because he publicly threatens. Well, and then he threatened to publicly call this guy out for his extramarital affairs.
Which, by the way, you're doing that if you threaten to call him out for it. You're doing it.
Then he posted everything anyway, so he did. And referring to him and Taka and Taichi as the cheaters gang, which is the way it was described to me, because he's tight with Taka and Taichi as well, Kikuchi. And Ibushi has on again, off again heat with Taka, from what I understand, which is on again at the moment. And I was told that, Ibushi does have his allies, but he's got heat with a lot of people in a lot of places, inside and outside of New Japan. He's an eccentric guy, and whether it's justified or not, he seems to have very strict morals. I mean, he doesn't like that these guys cheat on their wives or get involved in, those type of scandals. And so I'm not saying whether the guy's right or wrong. I'm just telling you what I'm told. And, I'm not even passing any kind of judgment on any of the three instances where he was hurt or not hurt. They want him to come back. He wanted to come back. I'm just telling you how I was told, what I was told. And it's weird, because a lot of hardcore, like, Ibushi fans are treating it like I'm slandering the guy, and I didn't. I mean, if you read it, it's more sympathetic to him than it is to Kikuchi, the report that I wrote, because, without giving away sources, which I would never do. I mean, the people I'm getting info from are closer to Ibushi.
Yeah. By the way, one second. Can I reference that? Because there's a lot of people that say, well, until they tell their sources, I'm not going to believe them. Fuck, that's not how it fucking works, dude. All right. That's not how journalism fucking works, especially not in wrestling, but especially not in anything. Woj doesn't say when he drops a Woj bomb, I heard from, X, executive in the Grizzlies organization that, no, they don't do that. That's not how journalism works. So no, we're not going to give you our fucking sources. And if you don't believe us, then that's fine. We'll just keep being right about everything that we report. And we'll just keep, you'll keep looking like a goofball, and we'll keep looking right. And then the next time this comes around, you could say, well, I'm not going to believe anything until I know who their sources are. You're not going to know who our sources are. That's not how journalism works. That's not how anything works. You cannot do that. You will lose all credibility. You will never have another source again. Ever. That's not how journalism and reporting works. Shut up. Stop asking for that.
Well, thank you, Rich. But I didn't want to go down the road of defending myself, because that comes off defensive and everything. But it's like, just use your brain. How did we have the December thing in real time, and then just so happens, it all matters.
Well, you're a gambler, Joe, and you are. I gotta say, you are quite the prognosticator lately. Yeah, you are. Hey, that schedule just came out in the NFL. You want to? There's some early odds I can get if you can DM me after this and let me know what you're thinking with the Swami Joe over there thinks about the.
I reported for months that Nosawa Rangai was rubbing people the wrong way, and people were starting to be on him, and was allowing talent to run over him. And again, I'm getting all of this from wrestlers in the locker room, and people, this is all full of shit. It's all made up. And then the guy gets removed, right. Proving everything that I was saying was accurate.
Keep being right, but okay.
And it's like, and then it's like this thing. Oh, he's guessing, and it's like there's been two people translating Ibushi's tweets, and they've been doing a great job. There's two different translators out there, primary ones that have been breaking everything down and being very careful. explaining where they might not be understanding things 100% and really doing a great job with the translations. And I appreciate all the work that, and I think we all do, that these translators are doing and whatnot. And one of them actually said, hey, I read the report and it kind of makes sense based on what I'm reading with the tweets. But there's another translator out there who's just dragging us through the mud, and they make things up and don't believe anything they say. And, and all of this, and they make things up. And it's like, I don't understand why? Like, why? How do you know? You don't know who we talk to. I mean,
Right.
I appreciate the fact that you're doing these translations, and it's very helpful for everyone. But, no offense, but you're not talking to the people. We are.
Right.
This person doesn't understand how foolish they sound when they say that, we're just fabricating things and making them up, and do not trust Voices of Wrestling because, they're misleading information where, I appreciate the translated tweets. I genuinely do, but you're translating tweets from one person in the story who also is a very eccentric person. We'd all agree with that. Who also, anyone who speaks Japanese agrees, is very hard to understand, even if you know the language, because that's the way he communicates. And, and then on top of that, he's a pro wrestler. So, it's hard to distinguish when he's working and when he's not. And, it's like, that's hard with any pro wrestler. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of disrespectful to sit here and say that we're just making things up out of thin air when, look at the Will Ospreay story. I got all of that right.
Well, I am led to believe that you, in fact, got it all wrong. And I'm just going to continue going on that. They're like, see, they said that Will was going to NXT UK. No, he said the opposite, you dummies.
No, Fumi Saito said he was going to NXT UK.
We did not. We said Bea Priestley is, but Will is not following her, which was right.
And then I dug into it because it sounded suspicious. And I'm not, again, no offense to Fumi Saito. I know how he got told that because the wrestlers, and this is because I got information from the roster itself. Wrestlers on the roster didn't understand the difference between NXT UK, and because Will was British and because he was having problems with the company, there were wrestlers in the company speculating that he might go to NXT UK because he's British. And, Will's having problems with the company. Maybe he'll end up, and then, through telephone game that ended up, someone told Fumi that. So then he went on his podcast and just shared that speculation. It just came from an ignorance on the roster of not understanding how WWE hierarchy works. They would never sign Will Ospreay and put him on NXT UK. I mean, it's absurd. No. But the Japanese wrestlers don't know that because they don't. How can they?
They don't know what NXT UK is. Like most human beings, they don't know what NXT UK is.
And then the deeper I dug, the more I saw that was just roster speculation because random roster members who aren't friends with Will weren't in communication with him. And they thought, but then everything else we reported about that story turned out to be 100% correct. And yet there's still people out there saying that Voices of Wrestling said Will Ospreay was going to NXT UK, which is the complete opposite of what we said. But again, I didn't want to do this whole defensive thing, but Rich, you got me worked up. But
I love the until they reveal their sources, I'm not going to believe it. Okay.
Which is utter nonsense.
Then forget it then. You're never going to believe us then because we're never going to tell you who our sources are. Well, they should share the screenshots. Not going to do that either.
That means you're a child.
Yeah, it means you're 14 years old and that's not how the real world works, so no.
But I really didn't want to go down that road. But the point is, the stories behind the paywall, $5 tier, again, there's been so much since then. The Yakuza stuff, those accusations aren't good because those are being taken very seriously. And, there's stuff I'm just learning about now that I'm not prepared to put my name on, basically. I might write something up this weekend if I get more concrete. That's the other thing. If I just went behind the paywall and wrote every little fucking telephone whisper I ever heard, people would have a point because I could. Rich, how much shit can we put behind that paywall that we just randomly hear?
Oh, yeah.
But we don't because it's just unverifiable garbage and it's not the right thing to do. So who knows? I might have another report this weekend. I'm being very, very careful now, though, because now it's, I don't even want to get into it, but this isn't going away. We all learned a little something, I think. We all learned of the existence of Yusuke Kikuchi, number one. We're all learning a little bit about, how much level of power he has and whatnot. And he's obviously an important player. who wields some influence. And, it brings up a lot of questions. Did the company pressure him to come back before Wrestle Kingdom? It sure looks like they did. At least from his point of view, they did. Has the company jerked them around some? From his point of view, it sure looks like they have. And a lot of the wrestlers have co-signed that and said that they don't like this guy. He has his allies, mostly older guys. Mostly, guys in the office, some of the old Noah crew, because he's worked, all throughout pro wrestling for many years. So he has some allies, but a lot of the younger wrestlers don't like this guy. And, now now Ibushi, who seemingly is convinced that he no longer has a future with New Japan, is really threatening to expose a lot of stuff that, may or may not ultimately end up being true. And if a lot of it is true, heads are going to roll. Mm-hmm. I mean, shit could potentially hit the fan this weekend in New Japan. And, we can see a complete shift in who yields the power in that company. We could see people lose their jobs. I mean, because these are not accusations that are being taken lightly. And, we've been hearing that Ibushi has been making more of an effort to go through the more official channels with some of his complaints now. So that's good. But, it's a wild story. Rich, do you have any questions or follow-ups?
Yeah, I would just say,
the listeners might care about?
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing that maybe a lot of people say is, why did Ibushi decide that this was the way that he had to go about this? Like, what led to him deciding, to do this? And I think that it's a little more of a delicate thing, at least in my sense, and then I'll kind of get your thoughts on it. To me, Kota Ibushi, we know he's an eccentric guy. He's a very interesting, weird at times. He's
an odd thinker.
Yeah, and this is not anything that's new. I mean, this has been Kota Ibushi from the moment that we all first discovered Kota Ibushi. For some of us, it was a decade ago. For some of us, it was 15 years ago. For some people, it's 5 years ago. No matter when you first learned of Kota Ibushi, when you first found out about Kota Ibushi, there's and in some ways, it's a charm to him. You know what I mean? Is that he is just he's an odd fella, he's an odd kid. He marches to the beat of his own drum for sure. And he's done
he lives 25-hour days.
Right. Like there's those interviews and there's those clips and there's those hilarious things where, he's mentioning about how many hours in the day there are. And Horish Tanashi's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And like, he's strange. The man gets lost at airports. The man quits jobs out of nowhere. Like, this is not even the first time that he's had this thing with New Japan. I mean, this, and I reported it, or I talked about it, I should say, in a Patreon episode I did about the G1 finals and all that sort of stuff about Kota Ibushi, where Ibushi just, if people don't remember, many, many years ago, he was signed to a dual contract with New Japan and DDT. He had done a ton of stuff with New Japan for years and years and years, Best of the Super Juniors, other G1 tournaments, all that sort of stuff. And New Japan decided, hey, we want this guy, but we don't want to, take him away from DDT. So we're going to sign him to a dual contract, quote unquote. That eventually just ended up turning more into, Ibushi being a New Japan guy, but he still had obligations to DDT. So he would do both and yada, 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 and all that sort of stuff. And then eventually he kind of just said, hey, I'm done. I don't want to do any of this anymore. I'm done. I quit. I'm getting burnt out. I'm done. And that's when we had the, Ibushi Research Institute. And then there was gifs of Ibushi wrestling some dummy in like a warehouse or whatever. And people were like, what the fuck is this guy? What's going on here? And then he, he'd pop up in Big Japan, or he'd pop up here and he'd pop up in random places. And then he randomly appears in New Japan again, but as Tiger Mask W. But then he's just doing Kota Ibushi moves while wearing a tiger mask. And then he just kind of comes back to New Japan, and then he signs a quote unquote lifetime contract. And there's the DDT. I mean, like, the guy has done a ton of weird stuff. And then, he doesn't trust books. I sleep 25 hours in a day. Like, his quotes are very strange. He's a very eccentric guy in a lot of ways. It's probably the best way I can put it. And for some people, they'll see that as him being like, oh, it's funny, it's cute, it's whatever. And I guess we're starting to see that maybe that's not always funny and cute, and sometimes that part of him can get a little bit more serious. And when he does want to say something like this, I think a lot of people kind of laughed it off when they first started these tweets, like, hey, what the hell's going on with Kota Ibushi? And then it just kept going and going and going. And now we're here a couple days later where this guy, who knows? I mean, we don't know what again, it's from Twitter. We don't know the tone of what he's saying or whatever, but it doesn't seem like he's having a happy-go-lucky fun time right now. You know what I mean? Like, what he's saying is very serious stuff, and I doubt he's saying it. Yeah.
Well, can I editorialize? I'll give you my opinion.
Yeah.
Which I didn't do in the piece. I don't think I did anyway. You read it? Did you think I?
I don't think so. No, I think that was straight news.
I mean, my opinion is he has some legitimate gripes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, no doubt.
I mean, it's look. Somebody owes him merch money. whether it's New Japan, whether it's Pro Wrestling Tees, whether it's the Young Bucks, someone owes him merch money.
And that's consistent for years, by the way.
That's been a low-level rumor for, low level's the wrong term, an underground rumor for a while now, that he wasn't getting that merch money for the Golden Elite shirts and the Elite shirts, and he alleges he should be. Now, look, whether he was complaining to the right people when he complained to New Japan that he wasn't getting his money is immaterial. He has a gripe. If he didn't get paid for those shirts, someone owes him money. And I don't think it's, even if he went to the wrong people, because even if these weren't New Japan shirts and they weren't responsible, the bottom line is he's right about that. Someone owes him money for the shirts. As far as the three instances of, is he going to work? Is he not going to work? I mean, it sure sounds to me like he's getting jerked around to some degree. Now, is he the easiest person maybe for the office to work with? Maybe not, because of what you just said, how eccentric he is and hard to communicate possibly and those sorts of things. But, it sure seems like they went against his wishes at least a couple of times, kind of pressuring him to come back before the shoulder was ready at Wrestle Kingdom
that's tough for a wrestler too. That's tough for an athlete to, especially somebody that looks like Kota Ibushi or whatever. I'm sure that Kota Ibushi wants to have, a little bit of more of a notice and okay, you want me to come back? Well, I got to look a certain way. I got to be ready. I got to mentally be ready. I got to physically be ready. I have all that sort of stuff. It's not as easy as just saying, hey, we need you back, pal, and him going, all right, cool, I'm in. You know what I mean? Like there's some stuff that needs to happen to get ready, to get into that shape to be Kota Ibushi. It's not like this guy needs to go out here and do side headlocks and a couple of shoulder blocks and then he can tag out and he's good. He's Kota Ibushi. There's a standard that he has put himself on. So yeah, this idea that, hey, just get ready for us in a couple of days or a week or whatever, he can't do that. I mean, I totally sympathize in with him.
There is that Japanese wrestling mindset, though, of you work hurt, and maybe that needs to change. Where they just have this mindset of you guys will work through their injuries or come back too quickly from them or whatnot. But he clearly wasn't comfortable coming back for Wrestle Kingdom. And it's obvious because we have the proof. 5 months ago, we talked about it, that they were dead set on him coming back. And now 5 months later, he's saying in tweets that he didn't like the way this guy was talking to him, saying, hey, you better be back. And he didn't like his tone and the pressure that was being put on. So I think he's right about some of this stuff, if not all of it, But is he handling it the best way? I mean, obviously not. But this is a guy who probably feels like he's been pushed to the brink. Look, here, the guy did threaten his job too. Let's not leave that out of this.
Right. Yeah, he was kind of getting blackmailed by this dude too. So
he goes to the JTO show. The guy questions him online. What were you doing there? You didn't clear it, right? And then basically, and I'm paraphrasing, was basically like, do you want to be fired? Is what the guy basically said. And then Ibushi took that as, oh my God, now they're threatening to fire me. And from his point of view, he's like, New Japan wrestlers are on all kinds of different shows. I didn't even wrestle. I just went to the show. So why are you giving me shit? Because he feels like this guy has always been unfair to him. And I get into that in the story from, other sources noting that feel that this guy is unfair to certain wrestlers on the roster, holding them to standards that he doesn't hold other people to in terms of their off the clock behavior and everything else. I've got anecdotes in there.
Right. He just feels like he's been unfairly targeted by this same guy.
I'll give you the one story.
Yeah.
I give you the one story where Kikuchi gave Ibushi shit because Ibushi was spotted in a public gym spotting for another wrestler on the bench press. But it was a heel wrestler.
Oh, Kikuchi Watts over there. Yeah, Kikuchi Watts over there. Not
So Kikuchi gave him shit about that, and he doesn't want people commingling between units. That's like one example. There's other anecdotes in the story where Ibushi and some of Ibushi's allies and younger wrestlers feel this guy's just inconsistent with the way he applies the policies. He has very old school policies. The old American boy band thing where don't admit you have a girlfriend because, we won't sell as many tickets, like that old shit that you used to hear for like fucking Menudo and fucking New Kid on the Block.
Right.
It's like,
we don't want Jordan Knight to know, and we don't want the world to know that Jordan Knight has a girlfriend. So yeah, don't.
Leaf Cassidy in the 70s couldn't admit that he was, fucking somebody because they're afraid he's not going to, like he has those old school mindsets of old school kayfabe and shit like that. And that's not even necessarily their issue with him. Their issue with him is he applies it unfairly.
Right.
Like he'll use it against you if he doesn't like you, and you get a pass if he likes you. And he has his drinking buddies in the company and all that. Your Takas, your Taichis, the old Noah crew. So that's kind of like, more background. And what set Ibushi off initially was being questioned about going to that show. And then when he said, "Are you trying to be fired?" Because you have to remember at that point, Ibushi had cut off contact with the office. So from Kikuchi's point of view, he's like, all right, you're not talking to us. You're popping up on other shows. Are you trying to, you want to be fired? Right. And then Ibushi took that as, well, that's a threat.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think Ibushi's wrong about a lot.
I don't. No, I really don't. Yeah. If for anybody that has that, like, I think he's going about this in the wrong way, most likely. I mean, maybe he felt that there was no other option but to go nuclear here and decide that this was the only option. Right, which I don't know that. I don't know what other, I'm not privy to the other conversations that he had or other attempts that he had or whatever. He may have felt, all right, this is it. I've tried everything I can do. This is the last thing I can do. I still think there was probably a better way than just, an assortment or days worth of just random quote tweets or whatever. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe this was his final thing. So yeah, that would be my only issue. But a lot of the gripes that Ibushi has, from his side and from the other side, like I'm kind of largely on his side as well for a lot of this stuff. I can see the other side. I can see the frustration sometimes from New Japan. I can see the frustrations from Kikuchi sometimes. But at the end of the day, I probably side with Ibushi a little bit more than I side with New Japan in this. But just, yeah, the way that it is going about it definitely seems like the wrong way. And it might make, our reporting on it seem like we're against Ibushi because we're just telling you what's happening and how
I don't
he's,
understand
going
why,
about
because
it. Yeah.
all the information is from Ibushi's people close to him.
Right.
Like all the information is from people who are sympathetic to what he's gone through, even if they might not necessarily be sympathetic to how he's handling it, because even people close to him don't think he's handling it well. There's a lot of tweet, like someone said Shingo put out a tweet that was like, well, I'm just worrying about me. Like that's a clear subtweet. Like, this is all fucking bullshit that I don't.
Yeah, Goto had, I forget what Goto's thing was. He was just like, I do my talking in the ring or something like that. Just
because they're
perfect Hiroki Goto tweet in that sense.
You got to understand, these guys are worried about the company they work for.
Yes.
Now. And this shit ruining a good thing. And you may still side with Ibushi on that sort of thing. It depends what culture you're from and all those things. I mean, the Japanese work culture is different. Than a lot of other work cultures around the world. And these guys are kind of ticked off at him, not because he's complaining, and this is something that was said to me too, but because he's doing it publicly. Keep it in-house, go up the proper channels, because, hey, look, we don't like this guy either.
Right. If you want to get fired, just tell them you want to, leave or whatever, and
say what he's doing.
Right.
Don't you're going on, and he's going back and forth with fans, and now he's exposing the business, talking about bookers and how finishes are worked, and it's just the wrestlers are not happy about that aspect of it. They're just not. So, I don't know. This is all going to be a lot of outdated information, I feel.
Yeah, stay tuned is all
for the non-live listeners, because this is just this is not going away. It's not going to have a simple solution. We have passed the point of no return. The shit can really hit the fan here, because I think we're past the point where they can get everybody to sit down at a table. And
that's what I said. Kumbaya is done. I think we're past. Once the Yakuza tweet came out, I think Kumbaya is done. I mean, the best case scenario is they just agree to separate, and Kota goes on his end and New Japan goes on his end, and they never speak of this ever again. That's probably that's probably the best case scenario, right? Like, that's where I'm at with this one. And the worst case scenario is God only fucking knows what's down the pike. But yeah, the best case scenario to me is they just agree mutually, all right, this is not going to work. Here's your release. Go do whatever you want to do. And Kota moves on, and New Japan moves on, and things are largely the same, just without Kota Ibushi going on there. But that, again, is the best case scenario at this point. The come together moment, and Kota Ibushi, comes back at the G1. I feel like that feels like we've passed that point, that we're not going back there. But I don't know. I guess stranger things have happened in wrestling, but as far as what I've heard and from what has kind of been rumored or what we've seen, it feels like that's not going to happen. Like that little get in a room, hash it out, shake hands, and move on. I feel like we're past that point.
It's too late because it's gone beyond the wrestling office.
Right. Now we're getting, we're getting
big time corporate
reporters, corporate. Yeah. We're getting magazines and gossip papers. We're invoking Yakuza. We're invoking scandal. We're past the point of, hey, you didn't book me right, or this sort of stuff. We're in a different realm now.
Here's it's a bigger problem. The Bushiroad corporate bosses are now questioning the wrestling bosses. What the fuck is going on? Right. Get this under control. And it's not under control. And it's
not going to be under control anytime soon.
It doesn't seem like it. He's just, Bushi's had enough, and he's just letting it fly. It's scorched earth. Under the current structure, I don't know how he could ever go back in that locker room. How can he? It's hard for me to fathom this being fixed at this point. So I'm sure that's not the end of this for us talking about it here. It could potentially be a pretty wild weekend on that front. Do you want to plug the Patreon and then move on? Seems like a good spot to do so.
Let's do that. So obviously this whole hour has been a plug for the reporting that we have done. FlagshipPatreon.com. You've been working quite literally day and night on these stories over the last few days, and we'll continue working day and night as much as you possibly can on this. But a lot of work getting put in there, a lot of good reporting, a lot of double sourcing, checking with sources, all this sort of stuff. But breaking news updates, FlagshipPatreon.com, all available there as written updates. So there's a lot of stuff. There's obviously been the recent Noah news that we've had, and then the Ibushi stuff. We're on top of it. Nobody else is reporting the stuff that we're reporting. Nobody else has the sources that we have. So if you want to continue following this story and get it from the direct sources, from the top sources, we're pretty much the best spot so far. Everybody else has either referenced us or is just repeating what we're saying without giving us credit. It's pretty much how I've seen most of the other reporting going. So FlagshipPatreon.com is where you can find all of that. This week, match of the week. You do it every single week. This one we talked about a little bit on the last week's Flagship. You were going to pick a Tiger Chung Lee match, and it was from January 3rd, 1984. Hulk Hogan and Bob Backlund versus Mr. Fuji and Tiger Chung Lee. And it actually, not only it being, Kim Duck and Tiger Chung Lee, being featured in it, but it actually features a very fascinating story of a real, I can't say a passing of the torch, because one man doesn't really feel like giving the torch up, but knows that he has to give the torch up, of Hulk Hogan and Bob Backlund. That's what I came away from that match watching, and that promo watching, is Bob Backlund staring off camera, realizing, God damn it, Hulk Hogan's going to take my spot, and I'm never going to get it ever again. And that is definitely what happens there in January 3rd of 1984. On the Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, Mr. Fuji, Tiger Chung Lee match. But you get into a little bit of details about Tiger Chung Lee, and more details about kind of the Vince McMahon decision to go with Hulk Hogan as his top dude, and Bob Backlund pretty much realizing it overnight, or at least in the midst of that promo, realizing, God damn it, I'm done. Fuck.
You can see Backlund's dead behind the eyes. He knows, and he's in the awkward position of his role in the match is to help Hulk Hogan get over.
Right, help his replacement get over. Yeah,
which is absurd from two angles. Number one, he's got to help the guy replacing him get over, and number two, Hogan don't need any help getting over. So it's like he's not even useful at that point. So he
doesn't say anything in the promo, and you get an incredible Hulk Hogan. It'll be all right, pal. He like slaps him on the back.
It's very condescending.
It's like, oh,
it's
God.
very condescending. Yeah,
and then the match just itself, dead behind the eyes. Knows I'm done. I'm over. This is it.
Yeah, and then the match itself is just Backlund selling to set up Hogan saving the day. So it's a very interesting match that I've always remembered, from that standpoint. So, Kim Duck retiring, was a good opportunity to dig it out of the archives and talk about it, because I think it's a fascinating match from that standpoint. And Tiger Chung Lee happens to be the guy. Hogan really liked working with him in that era, because I guess he remembered him from New Japan, because then he worked those two singles matches with him. He worked one in 84, and then he worked one later in 85. So he really liked working with him. I guess he trusted him, or he knew, he'd put him over. And so Tiger Chung Lee, I mean, to American fans, those are arguably his three most famous matches. That tag match, and then those two television singles matches with Hogan. And they're nothing more than squashes for the most part. But they're probably his three most famous bouts, and like we talked about last week, he's a fascinating figure, because to American fans, this guy had a half-decade career and is very famous for and essentially most people have never seen him win a match.
Yeah.
But yet,
yeah, go on.
No, I was only going to say, but yet, he lasted. He was a full-timer for 5 years, and it was a very memorable character from that era, even though he was just a television jobber.
Yeah, and one of the fascinating things, and I forget who said this, it was somebody I think in our Discord who said it, so I apologize if or they may have said it in the Patreon post, but said, like, there's no way to do the research on this, or there might be a way to do it, but it'd be very difficult, and it would take months of hard work and diligent research to figure out. But, like, does anybody have a more eccentric, long list of, like, opponents, a varied list of opponents, as Tiger Chung Lee, or Kim Duck, who, obviously we talked about, wrestled. God, he wrestled from when would he say his debut was? Like in the 60s or whatever. He wrestled from the.
He broke through in the late 60s for JWA.
Okay, so worked 60s JWA, worked all the way through there. New Japan in the 70s. WWF in the 80s and the 90s, back to Japan in the 90s, and then wrestled into the 2010s. Like, and you look at the opponents that guy has had, there may not be a more varied list of opponents in wrestling history than Tiger Chung Lee, Kim Duck. I mean, he might have, like, one of the most, because, I mean, not many other people are going to be able to have, I'm trying to think of, like, you're Mike Sharp, and, like, it's just not. And
Ricky, the 60s, the late 60s pioneer guys in Japan.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
Then, so he went from there, and then he came to America and worked all the territories. So he crossed paths with all those territory guys. Then he went to All Japan in the late 70s, then New Japan in the early 80s, would still come back to America and work, random world-class and Mid-South shots in Georgia, right? So he's Portland. So he's crossing paths with all these people. Then the 5-year WWF run where he wrestled every star on TV because he put all those guys over on television while he was going back to Japan to work tours in between. And then, like you said, the late career stuff where, he worked for War. He worked for DDT in the early 2010s. He did Wrestle One. He did Japanese Indies. He did Mexico. So he was in the ring with just a total eclectic group of pro wrestlers throughout the years. Let me see if I could find that person's. I'm
looking at now. Like, how many other people have faced in his second to last match? Masaki Mochizuki is in it. How many other people have faced? Stan. It's just like, it's ridiculous. Stan Putski and Masashi Mochizuki in the same career. You know what I mean? Like, how many other people?
He said, "This is Starvos." He in his post he says, "Here's just some of the people that he wrestled: Jack Briscoe, Billy Robinson, Red Bastien, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Chris Jericho, Gino Hernandez, Scott Hall, Atlantis, Jun Akiyama, all the Villanos, Masaki Mochizuki, Kazuchika Okada, Kenny Omega." And then you consider
who has Stan Putski and Kenny Omega on their resume, like.
Scott Putski.
No. Well, yeah, right.
Ivan Putski. Oh,
Ivan is who I meant to say. Ivan is who I meant to say. I'm mixing up.
And then
Scott and
all
Ivan,
of the WWF stars of the 80s that he wrestled on.
Right.
Syndicated shows. So, just a crazy career that crossed every era from the late 60s till today. So, anyway, so that was the match of the week, and it's a really fascinating one that drew a lot of conversations.
Yeah, not a whole lot of Tony Atlas and Kenny Omega crossover there, but
6 degrees of separation. Like Kim Duck is the
he might be that. Yeah, he might be the Kevin Bacon there. Yeah, you could do a lot of 6 degree. It would not be that hard. Maybe. Oh, man, I might have to do that. I might have to do that as a Patreon post this week. Is do a 6 degrees of separation of Kim Duck. It's probably it wouldn't take that long too, which is just
he's
insane.
The guy. He's Kevin Bacon. He's Kevin Bacon.
It's wild, but so there's that on there. The match of the week. This I wrote last week, but I do want to plug it because I don't think I wrote it. I think I wrote it the Friday after we did the flagship, but I wrote a piece about 20 years ago last week. WWE officially became WWE, dropped the WWF from their name, became WWE. And something I actually found out while doing the research for that is that the rating so the week that they announced that they were going to become WWE, there was a big time rating that week. The next week, the rating fell a ton for Raw, and it never ever got back to where it was before there. It never ever got back to what it was the night that they announced that they were WWE and they were no longer WWF. The rating never ever recovered back there. It got close. It got really, really close, but it never recovered again. And I kind of theorized there that there was probably a lot of people that kind of broke their. And I remember it at the time, me being like, oh, fuck, WWE, I don't know what the hell. I had an affinity for WWF, and I was still very young at that time. I wasn't, there was people that were 30, 40, 50 that only knew the WWF. They didn't have an affinity to WWE. So I did a long story about, stuff in my life as well. I used to work at a university that many times changed their names, and every time they changed their names, all the alumni of whatever the name that was before it basically stopped donating to the school because they said, I don't have any connection to the school anymore. I went to blank university. I didn't go to this school. So once that happened, they kind of and they stopped donating. Like, it became impossible to get them to donate to the school anymore because they felt that connection broken to the school that they knew that they went to and that they got their degree from. So I kind of theorized that maybe there was a lot of fans that did that with WWF or whatever. But just a fascinating thing, some background about the story as well, if people don't know why eventually they had to go to WWE and change the name from WWF, why it should have happened, 15 years prior, but Vince McMahon just kind of said, fuck you, I'm not going to do it. And then eventually the World Wildlife Fund said, all right, pal, you lost in court and you didn't do it, so now you really have to do it for us. So, and then the awful period that we all had to live through where everything was blurred out. Remember all the WWF getting blurred out of everything, the ring posts, the logos, the blanking of the names, like all that sort of stuff. It was an awful period for watching retro wrestling during that time. So I did a big piece about that 20 years ago. WWE got the F out. Of course, we said we have the Kota Ibushi stuff. I have the ongoing Slamboree Jamboree going on as well, covering each and every WCW Slamboree main event. 1995 will be dropping by the time a lot of you guys listen to this. It should already be up there. All the other episodes are up as well, and we will do it all the way through Slamboree 2000. So just following the insane world that is World Championship Wrestling. Just some crazy stuff. The matches aren't very good, but the stories around the matches are really, really good, including in the 1995 episode, a little bit of a teaser. Gordon Soley basically getting pissed off that Angelo Poffo was being put into the prestigious WCW Hall of Fame and basically quitting wrestling because of it. So that is the story that you will get in the Slamboree Jamboree 1995. Also, I reviewed Mountain Dew Purple Thunder in a Rich Drinks, so that will be up. Again, by the time most of you guys listen to this, I will review the brand new Circle K exclusive Mountain Dew Purple Thunder. It took me, I had to stop at 3 or 4 different Circle Ks to finally get my hand on Purple Thunder, but I got it and I drank it and I reviewed it for you guys. So that is up there as well. Thursday TV reviews. You just put that up right before we went live here. You recapping this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. So anything else? I think I got everything right there so far. But
nah, that's everything. Yeah, you did more than me this week. I'm busy making up things that are happening.
Yeah, you're busy sitting there going, what can I say about Nosawa now? Yeah, I got it.
I'm busy sharpening my creative writing skills.
You're doing great. Yeah, you are either a great guesser or just a fantastic fiction writer.
I am clairvoyant. We are going to, like you said, gamble. We're going to play the lottery. So we're doing a great job with that.
But I should note as well that this month, and we talked about it last week, and we had a lot of people that followed our advice. This month, you are going to get an AEW Double or Nothing Instant Reaction Live. It is on the on the 29th, May 29th, towards the end of the month. We implore you that if you are going to listen, if you are listening to this and you said, hey, I'm interested in that Instant Reaction Live, I'm going to listen to that. That's great. We appreciate that. What you should do, though, is get more bang for your buck and subscribe now as opposed to subscribing on May 29th, because when you subscribe on May 29th, you get charged on the... What's going on, guys? This is Rich from the Flagship Podcast letting you know about our friends at Drizly. And if you look for it, every day has a cause for celebration. You can celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby, wedding, life, whatever thing. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. And look, that's no easy task, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in the year 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizly in under 60 minutes without leaving that couch. Right now, Drizly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with code FAST5. So download the Drizly app or go to drizly.com, that's DRIZLY.com, and use the promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order. So as I mentioned, Drizly is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. You get it when you need it. Conveniently as well, you can shop across multiple stores and choose from a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. So you get exactly what you want. And best of all, you can shop across multiple stores and compare prices to find the best deals on what you were looking for. And Drizly, the most common use for Drizly is a casual night at home. It's the weather sucks. You got a couple buddies over. You're in the middle of cooking. You're in the middle of a Netflix binge. You're watching a wrestling show, whatever it may be, whatever you have going on that you don't want to leave the house. That is where Drizly comes in with convenient home delivery in under 60 minutes. So again, you're going to want to go to download the Drizly app or go to Drizly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Again, DRIZLY.com, Drizly.com. And use that promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order. Drizly is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. The #1 app for alcohol delivery. Download the Drizly app or go to Drizly.com, DRIZLY.com, and use that promo code FAST5.
Underdog Fantasy is the fastest growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.
29th, and then you get charged another, when the month passes over into June, you are going to get charged again. Whereas now, if you subscribe on this May 12th, you're going to get the entire month of content. You're going to get everything that we just mentioned, all of our archives, all that sort of stuff, and you're also going to get the Double or Nothing Instant Reaction Live, and you can cancel immediately after that if you want. You've gotten what you needed, but don't do it on the 29th. We implore you. We hate when people do that. We see people do it all the time, and we get mad that you subscribed on the 30th, you subscribed on the 29th, and you're going to get 2 days worth of content and then get charged again. Don't do that. Subscribe now, and then you're going to get the whole month of stuff, and you're going to get the Instant Reaction Live. So if you are planning on listening to Instant Reaction Live, you want to hear our thoughts immediately after Double or Nothing, just subscribe now and get more bang for your buck. That's all we're saying. You subscribe on the 29th. We'll still take your money. We're not going to care, but you're going to get a lot more out of your money if you subscribe now as opposed to on the 29th. So a lot of people followed our advice last week, so that is good for them. But you should do that for sure. If you are interested and you're thinking, man, that Double or Nothing Instant Reaction Live sounds great, just subscribe now. Get more bang for your buck. Make more get more value out of your subscription.
Yeah. If you're on the 5, get to the 10.
Yeah.
If you want to hear the instant reaction, get in now. Don't, get maximum value. Don't get 2 days worth of value. No. So. All right. What do we got? Roman Reigns.
Let's talk about Roman Reigns' future. So a very strange story come from WWE this weekend. Roman Reigns, I forget where he was. Was he in Long Island or it was
Trenton.
Trenton. Oh, lovely Trenton. Spent some time in. No, did I spend time in Trenton? I spent time in Newark, not in Trenton. In Newark.
You were in Jersey City, Newark.
Yeah.
You weren't anywhere near Trenton.
Where does Trenton go on the Jersey power rankings? Where would the city of Trenton go in Joe Lanza's mind?
Across the river from Philly, it's South Jersey, which means it's fake Jersey. So, the whole pork roll versus Taylor ham thing, that you were in a completely different part of New Jersey when you came for WrestleMania.
Okay. All right.
Trenton is the state capital of New Jersey.
There you go. Have you ever been to the capital of?
Nobody wants to spend time in Trenton.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Have I been to Trenton? Sure. The only time anyone goes to Trenton is if they have to go to court or something like that. There's
too many speeding tickets. You gotta go to...
No other reason to go to Trenton, But anyway, Roman won't be back. That's the point.
Apparently Roman won't be back either because he got on the mic and said, this is the last time you guys are going to see me. I'm not going to be around here anymore, type of thing. So either he really hates Trenton or this alleged news that has come out has some merit here. So everybody was kind of thinking, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Is Roman Reigns quitting? Is he going to Hollywood? What's going on here? So allegedly, people have kind of gotten down to this. There's been a lot of different sources. Nothing is really I don't think there's been an official report about this yet. So I'm going to use the word allegedly so far. So allegedly, Roman Reigns has signed a new deal with WWE that includes far less dates than his prior deal, including far fewer house shows as well. Dave Meltzer's reported at this time that Reigns is not advertised for any TV tapings or live events in July and August. Reigns is also not scheduled to appear at the June 5th WWE Premium Live event in Chicago, WWE Hell in a Cell. He will not be at that Premium Live event. He was originally on the poster for that Premium Live event, but he has been taken off of the poster of the WWE Hell in a Cell Premium Live event poster. He's no longer on that. So Dave Meltzer put it as Reigns will be on TV more than Brock Lesnar, but not appreciably more. is the way that in perfect Dave speak is how he said it. So he'll be on more than Lesnar, but not that much more than Brock Lesnar is probably the best way to put it.
And isn't the idea he'll do like the big house shows, maybe your MSGs, but he's not doing Trenton anymore.
Yeah, he's skipping Trenton, Des Moines. You're probably not going to get Roman anymore. Yeah, Sheboygan. Sorry.
These are all my go-to references for towns that don't matter. So I apologize to the good people of Sheboygan. But I always
great.
Sheboygan's
great. It's not great. Sorry, let me reel it in. It's not great. It's fine. Sheboygan is fine. It's not great.
Those are my two when I'm fired up. Des Moines
and Sheboygan. Yeah, that's.
I just think of just dusty fucking cornfield towns that nothing going on.
Yeah. I'm not gonna defend Des Moines at all. Des Moines is pretty shitty, but I'll slightly defend Sheboygan. But Des Moines can hit the bricks for sure. But
yeah. So that's kind of the
Moline. Look, you don't bring up Moline ever?
I never bring up Moline. You want me to bring up Moline? You want me to do Moline?
Right. One of the Quad Cities. You're not a Quad Cities guy?
How about I just say Springfield? It could refer to like a half a dozen cities. I could say
and none of them are good, right? Like no Springfield is actually cool, right? Because I know for a fact Illinois Springfield is not cool at all.
You know, we bash a lot of cities on this show. We do nothing but bash cities.
I mean, most of them stink though, right?
The people of Gary, Indiana are still hot at us for Gary.
Are they? I don't think they are. Most people agree with us. For the record, when we bash these cities, most people are like, it kind of sucks. Like, they know we're not bashing good cities here. We're bashing, Springfield, Illinois. No one's going to stand up and defend Springfield, Illinois. Trust me. The good folks of Trenton, New Jersey, I don't think are going to stand up and defend Trenton, New Jersey either. So,
I mean, give me a good city. Give me one good city.
Well, what I define as a good city might be different than what you define as a good city.
I give us one Rich Creech good city. I'm not going to argue with you.
Seattle, Washington. I love Seattle.
Okay. So there you go. That's balance. That's
San Diego,
balance.
California. Great city.
Okay. Always wanted to go there.
Oh, San Diego's the best.
Yeah.
You would like it. It's not that hot. You got to be outside a lot, though, if you live in San Diego. That's the only problem.
Listen.
It's a very outside city.
I've considered moving to San Diego. I've thought about it. I've never been there.
You don't go outside. Why would you want to go to San Diego?
Just to ensure that I never have to put on pants. Ever. You know what I
mean? It's not. It gets a little chilly there sometimes.
Does it?
It does. Yeah, it's not. It's not what you're thinking. It's not. Phoenix. Phoenix, you could probably go without wearing pants ever.
Yeah, but I hear Phoenix is just like you're choking to death outside in Phoenix. I'm not.
Those are babies.
I've considered Hawaii as well.
Now there you're gonna be with the Von Erich catching fish in the backyard.
Yeah. That's the dream. Kevin Von Erich never wears shoes.
He doesn't wear shoes. He doesn't even only wear pants. He doesn't wear. Yeah, you're right. The
man literally had to purchase shoes to fly. The last time
that was a story on Twitter. He said, bought shoes so I could get on the airplane because my man tried to show up and they're like, brother, you got to wear shoes. And he's like, all right, fine. I'll buy shoes.
He's catching exotic fish and crabs and like the stream in his backyard and cooking this fresh, catch of the day for like the guy's just
he absolutely deserves it though. Given what has gone on in his life, he absolutely deserves to never have to wear shoes or pants ever again. So good to him. Yeah, I don't know if you live in San Diego. I think you would have to go outside sometimes, and B, I don't know that you could always never wear shorts. I think you could probably get away. It is always a solid like 72 to 75 degrees, and that it so. Maybe you could pull it off, but you might get a little cold at night. But you'll get used to it. You'll be all right. You know what? You could pull off the hoodie and shorts move.
Yeah,
which I think is a classic Lanza move, a classic Craich move as well. Good move, I love the hoodie and the shorts. So
a little bit of everything, I don't know. The only problem is I don't want to watch NFL games at 10 in the morning.
Dude, it's tough. Yeah, it is. That takes a lot of getting used to. That was in Alaska was like really difficult where we'd get to a bar and it'd be like 1 minute left in the West Coast NBA game, and I'm like, motherfucker. You go to the bars, there's nothing to watch. It's like they're playing, there's like replays of Sports Center, there's NASCAR truck race replays. I'm like, what the fuck? You can't do this. It was 7 o'clock. Like, already the games are done. Like, everything is done. The nightcap of all sports were done at 7. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, it is. And I one time was in Arizona during NFL season, and it was like, woke up, drink coffee, and it's like you turn on the TV and it's like boom, the 12 o'clock game's already going. You're like, what the fuck is going on? It is way too early for this game to already be going on. So there is the one hand, you can do something, like you can watch all the games and then still do something at night, which is cool. But going to a bar to watch a game or whatever. You couldn't do that. It was just
right. The whole sports schedule is just
it was very difficult. Yeah, it was
even
tough.
Vegas is like that. Like, it's like I go to Vegas for work a lot with one of the companies I previously worked for, and we get set loose from our meetings, and I'm like, I'm going to go down a sports book and do a little action. All the games are over.
Right? Yeah, it's
like
11:30. Yeah, it's 11:30 in New Jersey. So
all the fucking games are over. Nothing left to bet on. It's crazy. And if you were there on a Sunday, yeah, you'd have to get down there 10 a.m. from your room to catch the early NFL games, which is obscene. Especially when you're in Vegas, because you're obviously up until fucking 6 a.m, and then the shit's starting a couple hours later. But all right, you gave us a good city. You gave us 2 good cities to balance all of the cities that we shit talk.
Yeah.
So that's it. So now, as far as TV, is he going to be working every SmackDown, or is he going to be taking some?
That,
TV?
As far as I can tell, I don't know. And this is what I mean, that the story is kind of weird, that nobody has really put official. Here's exactly what's going on with Roman still. There still is this, as far as I can tell, I'm recording this on the 12th or whatever, there is still a little bit of like, it's kind of a Brock Lesnar schedule, which what does that exactly mean? Because sometimes Brock is on every show, sometimes Brock goes away for 6 months at a time. It's a little strange. So yeah, he will be doing the pay-per-views this summer. We do know that. He will do the TVs. The way that Dave said it, and again, he didn't actually report this, was just on the Observer. He says that he will do TVs to build up the stadium pay-per-views. So it's not like he's not going to be on TV, but he's not going to be doing a lot of dates.
So this is really going to test the theory that he's the one making a difference in the SmackDown numbers, because none of my research ever pointed to that.
Right.
But that was also almost 2 years ago, or at least a year ago now. I have to look back and see when I wrote that story. But it could be different now. Like, he could be over to the point where he is making a difference to TV. I'd have to look that up. I did see some Raw quarter hours that reflected well on him when he popped up on Raw. But now we're going to see for sure, and we'll also see who they're going to build SmackDown around, because that show has been 1,000,000% built around him since he came back to, right after the Thunderdome shit. So it'll be rubber meets the road time in terms of truly how over he is in the business sense.
Right.
He's over in buildings. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, WWE fans are into that gimmick. He is over like a motherfucker. I think the new entrance, it's not new anymore, but you know what I mean? His entrance music helps. It fits the persona perfectly. He's been put, when somebody never loses, Rich, this is crazy, they get over.
Okay, hold on a sec. I got to take a note. I'm taking notes for your WrestleMania Backlash thing. I don't have them ready yet. So, okay, what you're saying here is, repeat it again.
One sec.
All right.
When a wrestler wins all of their matches.
Wrestler.
Yes.
Wins is what you're saying. Wins.
Yeah, they got to win. They got to win.
Like by pinfall, submission, that type of thing. Win. Okay. Wins all their. Okay.
When they win all of their matches, they tend to get over, believe it or not, Rich.
Over. Yeah, I don't know. Are you sure?
It's a wild theory, but that's generally how it works.
You mean the Goldberg push is what pundits online will call it, which is the best. I love that.
Jade Cargill, pretty crazy how that works.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Wardlow, it seems to be working pretty well.
But the thing is, so the fans in the buildings understand that he's a big deal and he's over in the buildings. We don't have pay-per-view to go off of, and we haven't since 2014. Ratings, who knows? Maybe time to do another deep dive before he goes off TV, and then we'll see how how SmackDown holds up without him. But the question is, with him burning through the whole roster and everything else, it's like, who do they have to take his place and build the TV around? I know what my answer would be, but the thing is, Sasha Banks doesn't seem too interested in working every week either. So, and then where do you go from there? I mean, I know Sasha Banks can move numbers on TV, but she's another one who will show up for a couple months and then you don't see her for 3 more months. So, I mean, I don't know. And Roman, has run through everybody else. The only other guy that's protected right now is Cody. And, he beat Seth again, and they're doing everything right with Cody. Everything. So does he beat Roman now that, okay, if Roman's not going to be around working all the time, maybe he doesn't need to hold every fucking title. And so now it's like realistic that maybe Cody can be the guy to knock him off. Because if Roman beats Cody, then what? That's literally everyone now.
Right. Yeah, Cody feels like the only guy in that company, the top guy, quote unquote top guy, that Roman hasn't decimated. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. And yeah, the other interesting part is you mentioned the title. Like, you now unified these titles, gave Roman Reigns both the titles. Brock doesn't have a title. There's not a secondary title. There's only one title in the entire company, and Roman's got it. Them, whatever you want to call it, them, whatever title, and now he's not around. So like, what? So now the house shows don't have a champion ever. You know, there's not going to be a world champion on any of these house shows. And apparently there's not going to be a world champion on a lot of other shows as well. I mean, he'll be on the big time stadium shows. He'll be on the TVs up to the big time stadium shows. But yeah, he's not going to be in every week. You know, you're not going to see that title every single week. And like, I don't think that that's a problem. Like, that, to me, that's not that big of a deal. People freaked out during the Brock Lesnar era. Remember that? Where oh my God, how can you have this title and not be around all the time and yada, yada, yada. The problem, though, is like you kind of alluded to there a little bit earlier, is that Roman over the last 2 years has destroyed everybody on the roster to get him to this point where he's over and he's the unified champion and he's the top dog and he's like the biggest star in the entire company. But like, now you have nothing else left. And this is where it becomes an issue of, okay, he's decimated everybody. He holds all the titles and now he's gone. Like, okay, now what? Like, now you have to kind of out of nowhere either create another draw, figure out what you're going to do. Again, I don't have a huge issue with him not being on all these shows. I think that's okay. That might make him special. That might actually work. It's just what you've done with him over the last few years is you've come to this area where we're at now, or this time period we're at now, where they just don't have anybody else. They have Cody and then a bunch of other dudes. I mean, at this point, Cody is he has exited the blob. I will give him that. So far, what they've done in WWE, he does not feel like a blob guy. You know what I mean? And we've always defined the WWE blob as like those guys that go 50-50, the guys that are just kind of interchangeable parts that can be moved back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And some people, leave that blob. Drew McIntyre for a brief period left that blob. Roman Reigns obviously left that blob behind a long, long time ago. Brock Lesnar left behind. All the old guys are always kind of out of it, but most of the other roster is just in this mass of humanity that could just be kind of interchanged left and right. Cody has definitely left that so far, in my mind. The way that they pushed him, the way that they've treated him, the wins that he's gotten, he is out of that. So he is your one guy. There's nobody else. I mean, who else realistically is out of that? Would you consider a true capital S star? You mentioned Sasha, you mentioned Cody. I mean, who else? There's nobody. Drew McIntyre is not that dude. You know, he's not that dude anymore. There's nobody. I mean, there's nobody. It's. I guess they're gonna have to make somebody, but they haven't done a very good job of that over the last decade.
Well, good on Roman having the power to call this shot and say, "I'm not working in Trenton, New Jersey anymore," because he's got the leverage to do that. Because he's one of the only two people they're pushing on currently, and they built the company around them, and there's competition across the street, so he can get his way here, and he did. So, good for him. But now we'll see. It's kind of risky too, because if it's just business as usual when he's not around, well, then how much does he really mean? I mean, you push a guy as hard as you could possibly push any human being, and if ratings stay the same and ticket sales stay the same, what are you left with? A guy who gets great reactions in the buildings because people know that he's the only thing that matters, right? So we'll have to see how that all plays out. I think that's going to be fascinating, and it's interesting that he's been pulled off the advertising for Hell in a Cell. Rich, I either dream this, I can't find evidence of it. Let's do this quickly before the Backlash game. Are they turning Money in the Bank into a WrestleMania title shot? Did you hear this?
So, yes. So the way, and it's very strange and nobody's quite sure, but that I did see a video and I did see some tweets about this, that multiple times throughout WrestleMania Backlash, which I did not watch, again, for the record, as we're going to allude to here a little bit, that they ran a commercial and I saw it and I was trying to understand what they said, but it said the winner of the Money in the Bank will receive a championship opportunity at WrestleMania.
Okay. That is a tremendous idea. I am so in favor of that because, as we've talked about a million times, that Money in the Bank briefcase, that shit got to go. That is played out. It is just old hat. Boxes their writers into a corner because I don't think they choose the Money in the Bank winner anymore with a plan. I think they just pick a winner
Oh, of
and
course.
then they try
no, of course they haven't. Yeah,
and then they try to figure out their way out of it.
They
After
didn't know
picked
what to do with
winner.
Otis. They didn't know what to do with the Miz lately. They're done. They
don't know what
have
to do with any of
lost
them.
all originality with that thing. They have no idea what
And
they're
that
doing
idea
anymore.
sucks now. Anyway, it's almost 15 years or whatever since it's a tired idea. So if you still want to do the gimmick, but now it's just an automatic shot at WrestleMania, and then you could still do Royal Rumble, right, for the other belt. Like, that's the idea, right? So
I guess, but they just unified these belts. They just made a big fucking deal. And again,
they won't be unified forever.
right? And we know that and this company unifies belts to ununify them. That's what they do. They put tag teams together to break them up, and they unify belts to ununify them. So yeah, we know that that's coming soon. It seems so sudden after they spent all this time talking about unifying the belts. But you and I both know, anybody that's smart knows, that those will not be unified forever. They will break up at some point. It's just odd timing. It's just weird timing.
Yeah, because the concern was, what's that going to do to the Royal Rumble? And the answer is nothing, because you have the two titles. So you can still have what this does is take away from like Elimination Chamber or one of those gimmicks that come after the Royal Rumble. So, but I think that's great. I mean, anything to get rid of that stupid Money in the Bank briefcase. But I just thought of that now. I know it wasn't on the run sheet. Do you want to do WWE WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live Event game?
Let's do it. Yes. Do you need some music or anything, or are you just going to kind of do it on your own?
Listen, this is going to be a show review that we do, except you are not going to participate because you did not watch the show. So I'm just going to do a review of WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live Event and break down the card the way that we normally do. But I am going to slip 3 lies into the review. Rich, at the end of the review, we're going to see if you can successfully identify the 3 lies that I slipped into the review. And these could be anything. A winner of a match, a finish, an event that occurred during the course of the show. Keep your mind open, because there will be 3 definitive bald-faced lies in this review. Are you ready, Rich?
I am ready, yes. I got my notes up. I'm ready to go. I'm going to jot
You did not
things.
see any of this show.
Did not see anything. I will say I watched the first 3 minutes of it. So if any, hopefully your lie isn't in the first 3 minutes. Full disclosure, I'm going to recommend, if you are ever going to try to watch a World Wrestling Entertainment premium live event, watch it live. Because let me tell you, trying to sit down on a Wednesday afternoon and go, all right, WrestleMania Backlash, let's have at it, is very difficult.
Together there. You rubbed the hands together.
Right, yes. Could you hear it? I was hoping you could hear it. But yes, so I said, you know what? I can't watch it live. It's Mother's Day. Things are going on, whatever. I'll watch it later in the week. So I sit down. I get onto the Peacock. I click over to WrestleMania Backlash. I sit back in my chair. Doom, 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 doom. You know what I mean? Like, we're playing. I'm like, all right, here we go. 3 minutes in, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I was looking outside. I'm like, I do need to water the plants, or, these dogs could probably use another walk. Yes, we just got back from a walk. They could probably use one again. It's nice weather. I found everything possible to do to not watch the show. And then I messaged you and said, Joe, I can't do it. Let's figure out a bit here. Let's figure out some way for me to not have to watch this thing and turn it into some sort of segment here. So that is how
you hate this fucking company.
I cannot stand this company. Dude, once you break away and stop watching it, it is impossible to go back. Impossible to go back. And if you don't watch a premium live event in the moment, you are never going to be able to watch it. I'm just telling you that. You're never going to be able to watch it.
Reminder to the listeners, do not guess in the chat room the lies. You'll ruin the game. Okay, so if you watch the show, don't say what the lies are. If you didn't watch the show, I guess if you didn't watch the show, you can try to guess the lies. But I don't even do that. Because
what, Joe? Here's what I'm going to do.
Pure.
I've closed the chat. I don't know what the chat's saying.
All right, there you go. Rich has closed the chat.
But still, also don't do it. There might be some people that want to play along as well, so let them play along.
We're going to take him at his word that he's not going to look at the chat. So you guys can have fun with the chat, I guess, and play along with the game if you haven't seen the show. So, Rich, I will say this. You missed a good pay-per-view. Oh, I'm sorry.
A what?
That would have been lie number 1. You missed a good premium.
I got one.
It was not a pay-per-view.
Yes.
You missed a good premium live event.
Wow.
I enjoyed. Okay. I legitimately
earnestly enjoyed,
and in fact had 2 notebook matches on this show.
Wow. Okay.
I will also tell you this.
Is this part of the lie yet or no? Is the game has the game officially started or no?
My opinions cannot be a lie.
Okay, got it.
Because these are objective lies that I'm slipping into.
Okay, because like I only gave one of these matches
How could you know?
Yeah, right.
How could you know?
You're right,
That's not fair. My opinions cannot be lies. So anything I editorialize it cannot be considered a lie. This is a good show. I enjoyed this show. I thought, look, not everything was great. Some of it was bad, but I had 2 notebook matches on the show. And for a especially for any pay-per-view, by any definition, I thought this was a good show. The problem, 6 matches and the pacing was awful. So you've got 6 matches in 3 hours. Endless video packages, endless time in between the matches. And it's not like the matches were all 45 minutes long. These were just standard length matches. You know, the pay-per-view, the main event went 20. Some of the matches went under 10. But my God, only 6 matches meant that this was like sitting in a dentist chair, you know, in between the matches. It was just awful. So that's a problem. The other thing is WWE commentary. I mean, I know we're beating a dead horse, but you know what? Pat McAfee fucking sucks. You people who think Pat McAfee's good at this, listen, if you want to tell me he's good from the standpoint of giving Vince McMahon what he wants or every now and then saying something funny, okay. But he suffers from the same affliction that all these other WWE announcers suffer from, and that's never shutting the fuck up, number one, and number 2, making everything out like it's the biggest happening of all time. Okay, you don't have to oversell me on the fucking Madcap Moss Happy Corbin match. Look, if everything is huge, nothing is huge. Pipe it down for the undercard. So when you're commentating on the matches that matter and you're telling me this is the greatest thing you've ever seen, it actually has some impact. Pat McAfee stinks. And you people who think he's good, you're out of your minds. I now know how everybody else felt when I was the last person on earth telling you Mauro Ranallo was good. I was out of my mind. And eventually I came to my senses.
Oh, I forgot you were. Yeah, you had a very ridiculous. You were the last holdout. Like legitimately the last Mauro holdout of everybody. Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, I am ahead of the curve on Pat McAfee. He sucks. He is an annoying listen. I can't take him. And he used to be okay. He used to be good. But it's the thing that happens to all these guys. Rich, Matt Stryker used to be good. I know people don't believe us. He was good. Taz was good in that company before he fucking stopped caring and was tired of getting beat up in the headset. It's the same thing. Like, McAfee's not bad in the same ways that those guys became bad. He's just fucking annoying. I want to strangle him. Shut the fuck up, Pat. You add nothing. I will say he has pretty good chemistry with Cole. They banter a little. And the one thing with McAfee is he has fuck you money, so he's not afraid to say things sometimes that you know Vince doesn't like. I will say that. He will go off the cuff every now and then, and that's cool. But 90% of the time, oh my God, I think he's one of the worst announcers, if I'm being honest. Anyway, let's talk about this show. He's still there, Craig.
I am still there, ready.
All right. So we open up. Now here come the potential lies.
Okay, so now from this point forward, you could be lying to me or giving me the straight truth of WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live Event.
Right, because all that stuff was just my big picture thoughts and my opinions on the presentation and all that. So Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins open things up. The story of this match, Rich, because I know you don't pay attention to WWE, is that Seth wasn't prepared at WrestleMania for Vince McMahon's mystery opponent. But now, Rich,
the only person on earth that didn't know was Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, good point. But now, Rich, now he's pointing at his temple, and he knows. Now that he knows he's facing Cody, he's going to have all the answers. And that was kind of the story of the match. You know, Cody would go for one of his trademark moves, and Seth freaking Rollins.
Thank you. I didn't know who you were talking about there.
How they refer to him now. That's his name. You know that?
Yeah, it's freaking. Yeah, it says freaking on the site and in the copy and everything. Yeah.
Correct. His name is Seth freaking Rollins. That's his name. It's not Seth Rollins, and his nickname is freaking. The man's name is Seth freaking Rollins, and the commentators have to say it.
Seth freaking Rollins every time. Everybody else has lost their names. Everybody else has lost their first names. He gained freaking as it must be said every single time. It is unbelievable.
So they refer to him as Seth freaking Rollins every time they say his name. And a kick out by Seth freaking Rollins. You know, Seth freaking Rollins, he's putting on an offensive show here tonight. And Seth freaking Rollins.
You're asking me to watch this shit? I can't. That's why I lasted 3 minutes. I was like, no.
Seth freaking Rollins, one step ahead of Cody here, every step of the way. It's just nonstop Seth freaking Rollins. You know what else was nonstop, Rich? Seth freaking Rollins screeching to Cody in his fucking Muppet voice. You're in the big leagues now, Cody. Welcome to the big leagues, Cody. It's the big leagues. Totally irritating with his Muppet voice. And then Corey Graves with possibly the line of the night. Are you ready for this one?
I am ready. Yeah, let's go ahead.
So as Seth freaking Rollins is one step ahead of Cody every step of the way, and you know, Cody's like shaking his head. He's like, this man really is one step ahead. I couldn't get that crossroads off because Seth freaking Rollins, he had me scouted, right? So Corey Graves mutters the following. And I quote, Cody has ring rust from being away from WWE for 6 years.
Oh my God. Okay, so is this part of the lies, right?
I don't believe if you think that's a lie, that's eligible. Sure. It's not an opinion of mine. Man. I'm telling you that Corey Graves said that.
That seems a lot. But it is this company though, and if you don't wrestle in World Wrestling Entertainment, you don't wrestle. So
I don't want you to talk through potential lies because I don't want to have to.
Right. Okay, that's my own brain making I am not going to include that one and just kind of assume that is some unbelievably horrific thing that Corey Graves actually said.
Listen, take your mental notes, but you know who knows? Could that be one of the lies? Sure, but Corey Graves, and I quote, Cody has ring rust from being away from WWE for 6 years.
Oh my God.
While Muppet Man is in the ring going, you're in the big leagues now, Cody. Welcome to the big leagues.
It sounds like a great premium live event, Joe. I'm sorry I missed it. Yeah.
With all of that said, great match. Better than the match at WrestleMania. 4.5 stars. I loved this fucking match.
Okay.
I thought this match was so good. The work here was phenomenal. Seth, I mean, you know, Cody, you can tell that these two guys like working with each other. I like the when they stopped pounding it into our brains like we're 6 years old, you know, and then they just let the guys wrestle and tell the story. I thought that the work was phenomenal. Look, WWE, they're going to treat you like you're an imbecile, and they're constantly going to reinforce what the story is. But if you could somehow tune out the Muppet voice and Corey Graves saying stupid things, the work was great. And I thought for sure that Seth would win to even the score. He did not. Cody wins it. And he didn't even win it with the crossroads. Seth had all the answers, right? So Cody wins it with like a sunset flip schoolboy gimmick. So the idea there is maybe there could be a third match because now Seth is like, you know, I had this guy, I had him well scouted, but you know, he caught me. He didn't beat me. He caught me. So Cody Rhodes beat Seth Rollins. I thought it was a great match. I really did. So I went about 4.5 on it. Just shy of match of the year caliber, but yeah, I thought it was really great. We go to the back, Rich, as we are apt to do on a 3-hour show with only 6 matches. So we go to the back where Rhea Ripley is running down Nikki ASH, her former tag team partner. I know you don't watch the TV, so you know they used to be tag team partners. Rich, Rhea Ripley.
I didn't know. I knew that. I know enough.
Yes. So she's running her down and making her feel bad, and then she walks off, and then Nikki ASH is making a sad face, and then they pipe in some like sad sounds from the crowd, which was kind of really stupid considering what was coming up in a couple of matches because they kind of tipped all of that off. So we go back to the ring where we have Omos with the MVP against Bobby Lashley. And look, Lashley tried hard, but Omos, I don't know. But as bad as Omos has looked, we had this lovely piece of commentary in this match, Rich, where, and I quote, Omos has established himself as perhaps the most physically dominant giant in sports entertainment history.
Okay, hold on. I'm jotting that one down real quick.
Yeah, so
we'll go back to that one. I'm jotting that one down.
This is how they put over Omos. Omos has established himself as the most physically dominant giant in sports entertainment. Have they heard of Andre the Giant, Rich?
As the most physically dominant giant.
Yes.
In sports entertainment history. Okay, wow. So
the history of sports entertainment.
The history of sports entertainment. In the history.
Well, meanwhile, this guy's struggling to get through basic spots while they're saying this. So this is
physically dominant Giant. Even though in their own canon, Andre the Giant didn't lose for like 30 years. The Giant Big Show also pretty good. Was an important part of the that's a
completely absurd statement by any measure.
The Undertaker, Kane are all considered giants, I would say, but okay.
Worse yet, Omos wins the match and defeats Bobby Lashley. So presumably, Omos will continue to be pushed, or this feud must continue, one or the other. They put over MVP Big as a manager. Every time Lashley had Omos in a hold that he couldn't escape, MVP would implore Omos to get to the corner because then the referee has to help you break the hold, right? So they're putting over MVP as like a managerial mastermind is kind of the idea there. And he's molding this most physically dominating giant in sports entertainment history into an absolute killer. But the match wasn't any good. Next up was Edge versus AJ Styles. Remember that Damian Priest was banned from ringside.
Yes, important.
Bouts, Rich. He came to ringside.
Oh,
he came down. Well, here's the thing. Did he though? He came to the aisle, and then the announcers, as he was distracting AJ Styles, were saying, "He's in the aisle. He's not at ringside," which is absolute bullshit.
This company so much.
Absolute bullshit. Then he ends up in the ring, and they're still saying that doesn't count as ringside. The referees like telling them to get out of the ring and this and that. So anyway, AJ wins the match. It was a match. Look, it was a match between Edge and AJ Styles. All right. It wasn't terrible. It had its moments, but nice little 3.25 star match. But the big news here is a masked figure came down to ringside in the post match. And many people were able to tell by this person's thighs that it wasn't.
I saw that. I did. Ripley. I know you're not lying about that because I did see that controversy, the thigh gate of this week, where people were being tisk-tisked for saying that they recognized Rhea Ripley's thighs.
Well, luckily the dummy that said that got dogpiled and chased off the app, so that at least that didn't.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess that didn't. It wasn't I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, people are coming to their senses a little bit, but the poor guy who tweeted that did nothing wrong. It wasn't sexual. All he said was he recognized the person's legs. I mean, what are we doing here if that's a problem? But anyway, it was in fact Rhea Ripley who takes off the mask, who turns heel and then gets the loudest cheers on the show. So that's she gets incredible cheers from the crowd for the reveal. And again, why do the thing with Nikki ASH 30 minutes earlier? Like, why fucking tip people off? You know what I mean? Maybe they wouldn't have recognized her thighs if we weren't even thinking about her. Like, why put her in people's minds? Anyway, next match was Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. They had an awful match at WrestleMania. Rich, this does not count for the game, but as soon as Bad Reputation hit, TLB appeared in the room in like 30 seconds. Like, it's amazing. Ronda Rousey is TLB bait. Like, she hears that Bad Reputation and she wants nothing to do with wrestling until she knows Ronda's on the screen. Loves the Ronda Rousey.
There you go.
I don't know what it is. But here's the thing. Never sticks around for the end of the match. Gets bored and leaves.
Yeah. Well.
Like, she doesn't stick around. She makes fun of it for looking fake, then makes fun of me because it looks fake, and then she leaves the room.
Yeah, that's about how it goes with the nurse, too. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly. The nurse will watch, say, this is stupid, why are you watching this?
Yeah.
And then say, oh, I know why you're watching it, you're stupid. And then she'll just leave, and I'm like, all right, nothing you said is wrong. Like, or she'll, like, ask me questions about it and want, like I'm supposed to defend it. And I'm like, look, I know it sucks. I know it's stupid. I agree. I'm with you. Stop yelling at me. I agree. Like, it is very much that every single time. And then, like you said, yeah, she lasts about maybe 8 minutes, and then she's out to go smoke weed and fall asleep or something. So,
yeah, at one point, someone had somebody in a hold, and TLB's like, "Who's that supposed to be hurting?" And I rubbed my chin and looked at the screen, and I was like,
"I don't know."
Got me. That's one I can't answer for you.
Oh God!
This is TLB's other thing. She thinks I know everyone. She's like, "Do you talk to Ronda?" I'm like, "No." like she thinks
like Ronda's in the DMs, giving us info.
She thinks we're way more important than we are.
Yeah,
She thinks that I don't know. I'm fucking. She thinks I'm the fucking. I don't know. Name somebody in a sport media. She thinks I'm.
Adrian Wojnarowski, the Adam Schefter of the wrestling.
She thinks I'm
world.
the Adam Schefter of wrestling. She thinks I know everyone. Because she does that a lot.
No, I'm not talking to Ronda Rousey. I will fully admit that when we did this preview, I don't know that I quite understood that this was an I Quit match. And I won't lie that this was... I didn't see any part of this match, but I won't lie. When I found out that it was a WWE I Quit match, that definitely made my inspiration for actually watching this plummet. Because there is nothing in the world I hate more than WWE I Quit matches. Last man standing matches I hate. Triple threat matches I hate. There's nothing I hate more than the WWE microphone in hand. What do you say, Ronda? What do you say? No.
Well, then you're gonna.
hate it. It's like Bret Hart puts Bob Backlund in an armbar, and Roddy Piper. What do you say, Bob? What do you say? Bob Backlund. No, for 10 minutes. Oh my god, I want to die. It's the only thing. The last man standing match. The referee going. Even that being 90% of their last man standing match is seeing Mike Chioda slowly count to 7 or whatever. There's nothing worse than I Quit matches where, just a normal lock, a side headlock, a basic move, and we gotta stuff the microphone in Charlotte Flair's face. What do you say? You give up? Do you quit? No. We can. Oh, okay. No. We keep going. Oh, the worst.
Well,
fucking
Rich, you're gonna love the finish to this one then.
Ugh.
Because Ronda had Charlotte in a hold. The referee put the microphone to Charlotte and said, "Do you quit?" And Charlotte goes, "Never, no, never." And then Ronda said, "I was hoping you would say that, bitch." And then she put her in the Ronda armbar gimmick and broke her arm. And that was then Charlotte quit. So that was the finish.
That was absolutely atrocious.
Or was it?
Oh, man.
So, look, a lot of people like this. It was definitely better than the WrestleMania match, but it was a little too...
Not that hard to be better than the WrestleMania match, if we're being honest.
Anything would be better than that. Look, it was a good match. I'm not saying, but it was, the finish was a little goofy. And the
stip sucks. The stip
stinks. Madcap Moss, Rich, defeated Happy Corbin in a grudge match of former tag team partners. At one, so stupid. Do you know Madcap Moss? Maybe you don't know, but Madcap Moss still comes out in his little suspenders and his 1920s fucking shoes and his dress socks. And this man is a babyface now. He also still tells his really bad vaudeville era jokes. So good luck to Madcap Moss in his future as a WWE babyface who tells 1920s dad jokes and looks like a bootlegger who got caught fucking his boss's wife and had to run out of the house before he was able to put a shirt on under his suspenders. But he took on Happy Corbin here.
If I'm guessing, I think he's probably going to be more on the Tucker Knight trajectory of this tag team, right? Other than the...
Oh, they really like him, and I'll tell you who else likes him. Pat McAfee, who referred to Madcap Moss as, quote, the most explosive athlete in WWE, end quote. So this was during the meat of the match when Moss was actually selling. So I don't know why Pat chose that moment to bust that one out. But he ended up pulling off.
He has to fill every second with something.
Every second.
There has to be a platitude every fucking second, or else you might be unengaged and you might go do something else. So you must fill every second with a gigantic, globalized, just fucking awful.
The most explosive athlete in WWE. And then Pat was putting over both guys for being former NFL athletes because he loves that. And then this was funny. He accidentally called Corbin Big Dog, realized what he did, and then apologized profusely for like the next 30 seconds while Cole laughed at him. He was going, "Oh, well, there's only one big dog in the WWE. That's Roman Reigns."
Oh, he got screamed. Somebody got shouted at.
Cole is laughing at this and basically pointing and laughing as McAfee is stammering because God forbid you accidentally say something that just comes across your brain and confuse the WWE universe, Rich, by implying that there's more than one big dog in the company.
And for people that don't know, the Michael Cole hysteric, nervous laugh is absolutely Vince McMahon burying something and telling Michael Cole to bury it on the air, because that is a classic of the last 15 years of Michael Cole, when he'll go, what are you talking about, King? You know what I mean? Like, he'll say, it's that sort of, that everybody who listens to WWE knows the laugh, knows the tone, knows the thing, and that is Michael Cole being instructed by Vince McMahon, tell this guy he's what the hell is he talking about? Who's the big dog? It's not Baron Corbin. It's not Happy Corbin. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the Michael Cole. Like, what, Pat? What are you talking about, Pat? Like, that's that noise is that,
Pat
awful.
knew immediately.
Right.
He knew immediately
that he was in trouble.
Yeah. So that match was not good, by the way. Not a great match. Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin. I'll tell you what was a great match. The Bloodline defeats Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. Now, I didn't like the first third of this match, which was Matt Riddle playing Ricky Morton and selling his ass off, which in theory is a pretty good match structure for a match like this, because Riddle can sell and then hot tag either Drew or Randy and they can clean house. And then the Usos can take all kinds of wild bumps for Drew and Randy. You know what I mean? And then you can do whatever finish you're going to do. The problem is Riddle did all of that selling and then he makes his hot tag, but then we go into like this, it was almost like two different matches, because then they turned it into like a really fast-paced go spot fest style match, and that's when the match kicked ass. They should have just done that for the entire match. They should have cut off the 8 minutes of Matt Riddle selling and acting, and setting up like a Southern tag style match, because that's not what then the match became. The match ended up being like this crazy indie spot fest style match, but it was really, really great, and everybody was really great in it. The problem is Riddle no-sold the beating. Like, he was just, they were doing like take your turn spots, like two guys would get in the ring and go through a sequence, and then they would roll out, two guys would come in. You know the style.
Right, of course, yeah.
And Riddle was just like part of that. Like, after he got his ass beat for like 10 minutes. Like, he should have just sat out the rest of the match. Not only that, he was an integral part of the finish too. So the first third didn't match the back end of the match, the back 2/3, but the work was way too good on the back end. I had to go notebook on it. Everybody was really great, even though it was kind of a weird match structure. Now, that's just in terms of in a vacuum. Now, as far as the finish goes, Roman Reigns took out all three members of this babyface team all by himself. He puts Drew McIntyre through a table. Adios, Drew. That's the end of him for the rest of the match. Then he takes out Randy Orton with like a fucking Superman punch or whatever the fuck. That's the end of him. And then he hits his finish on Riddle and they beat Riddle. So they had Roman just clean house on all three of these guys. And then his team wins the match. Nothing was at stake. They could have had one of the baby faces win. Maybe set up a pay-per-view match next month or something. Now we know Roman's not even going to be around next month. But what a bizarre finish. And then the faces never get their heat back. The heels just walk backwards up the ramp, talking shit. And that's it. The Bloodline wins. And the heels were right. They are better than everybody, and they are dominant. So,
yes. Finally, great wrestling storytelling. The heels are correct. They were right. They're better.
Yeah. Clean win. Roman beats up three of the top baby faces in the company, and then that's the end of the match. So, but was it a great match in a vacuum? Absolutely, it was a great match in a vacuum.
I will tell you this, and I know I'm not supposed to question these things, but do we hit the trifecta of WWE main event story? Did somebody go through the barricade? Did somebody go through the table? Did somebody take a? I guess it's just those two really are the.
Well, Drew went through a table, and that was it.
Nobody went through the barricade.
I don't remember, but probably.
Okay.
Because they did fight on the outside a lot. Let's just say they did.
For the purpose.
Let's just say they did. Fucking no. Come on. What are the odds they didn't?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's. I just want to make sure that I clarified that.
But since I don't know the answer to that, we won't. Don't use that as one of your answers.
Okay, but yeah, somebody did go through a table though. That
Yeah, it took out Drew, and you would think that Drew, this powerful Scottish babyface, would have eventually come back from that. We were all waiting for it, and he never did. He just died. So, and then Roman killed the other two, and they won the match. So that was that. And that was WrestleMania Backlash, a premium live event, which I thought was actually a pretty good pay-per-view. So, with two really good bookend matches. So, there you go. Rich,
all right,
it is now time.
Do you think
you've identified the three lies?
So there were three lies in your review, correct?
Alt-face, factual lies, just things that did not happen.
Okay, number one, even though I don't discount this happening, I feel like it's pretty egregious even for World Wrestling Entertainment. Yes. I am thinking that Roman Reigns did not. So was that an elimination match in the tag match, or you're just saying it was a single?
Six-man tag.
Okay, just normal six-man
But what
tag.
I'm saying is they made it clear that he took out Drew, took out Randy, like they were pounding that home. So,
okay.
Like,
I'm going to say that something else took out either Randy Orton or Matt Riddle. I don't doubt that he did eventually pin Drew or something like that, or eventually. But I am going to take umbrage with the idea that Roman Reigns decimated all three of these men and then also got the clean pinfall.
All right, so that's lie number one.
Yes.
What's number two?
Number two is Madcap Moss being described as the most explosive athlete in World Wrestling Entertainment while he was selling.
Okay, that's number two.
And then lie number three, Damian Priest coming to the ring, being literally in the ring despite the stipulation in the match that he could not be at ringside.
Right. Okay, so you're saying the three lies are Roman Reigns dominating and taking out all three baby faces at the finish of the main event.
Correct.
Madcap Moss being referred to as the most explosive athlete in WWE.
With the caveat that he did so while selling.
Okay. And the third lie you're saying is, what was your third one?
Damian Priest literally being in the ring despite the stipulation that he couldn't be at ringside.
Right. And Edge not only not being disqualified, but the announcers saying
it's okay, because it's not ringside.
Count as being at ringside.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through all three of them one by one and tell you whether you spotted the lie or whether it was in fact true. Okay. Lie number one, Roman Reigns taking out all three top baby faces in the main event on the way to the finish. Rich says that was a lie. That was in fact true. There was no lie. That was the finish of the match.
Man. So clearly definitively took out all three men.
Yes.
And Uso didn't take out Randy Orton. Roman Reigns took everybody out, including
Roman Reigns took them all out.
And got the clean pinfall.
Correct. And they won the match. Yeah, clean. They won it clean. Yeah, clean by, the heel W. Yeah, they just beat them. And Roman took everybody out one by one. Correct.
All right.
Number two, Pat McAfee refers to Madcap Moss as the most explosive athlete in WWE.
While he was selling.
That is, in fact, true. That was not a lie. Pat McAfee said that.
While he was selling?
He said that. I don't tell you. He said it.
I don't think is he the most explosive athlete?
Pat McAfee says so.
All right. Well, hey, who am I to doubt Pat McAfee? So, okay.
Well, look, you got one more chance, right? You got one more chance. What was your third one again?
Damian Priest in the ring despite the stipulation that he could not be at ringside, and the announcers saying, "Oh, that's fine because that's not ringside."
So Rich thinks it's completely absurd that Damian Priest was in the aisleway and that didn't count as ringside, and did in fact brawl into the ring, and that also was not considered being at ringside and causing Edge to be disqualified. And Rich, that was in fact the truth. It wasn't a lie. That's exactly what happened in the match. So Rich, you went 0 for 3. You went 0 for 3. Incredible, right?
Now I'm just trying to figure out what the lies were.
Well, we're going to reveal the lies.
I'm fascinated by what these lies were. I believed everything you said for the most part. There was a few things that stood out to me. I won't lie. The ones that I thought were lies, there was some wrinkle of truth I thought in all of those. Sure. But wow, I'm flabbergasted here. So what were the lies?
Okay, lie number one. Rhea Ripley scolds Nikki ASH in a backstage segment before they reveal her turn later in the show. That did not happen.
Did not happen. Okay. Well, that's good. That's smart of them to not do that then, because that was pretty dumb.
Yeah. But that's something that obviously you found plausible. So
for sure. Yeah. That they're like, my guests at this time, Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash. Then they're like, how do you guys feel about your match coming? And then Rhea's like, stop. She's like, oh, I'm sick of carrying you. You and you people. Yeah, I could totally see that for sure.
And Nikki makes a sad face.
Right. You're not a superhero, Nikki. You're just a loser.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She walks away. Nikki stares, sadly off to the distance for 15 or 16 seconds until they fade out, back to the...
Just so everyone knows
Right,
when she reveals herself later.
Right.
Yes, why she did it. Yeah, but no, that was a lie.
Okay, well, all right.
Lie number 2, and I could totally see why you fell for this one. Seth Rollins in his Muppet voice screeches, "This is the big leagues, Cody! Welcome back to the big leagues!" That did not occur.
No, you're lying. That happened for sure.
No, he didn't say that.
But Corey did say that he had the ring rust, because that was one that I was really close on.
I don't know. We have one more lie to reveal.
Okay, all right.
We have one more lie to reveal. I only told 3 lies, so could that be one of them? Lie number 3 was a commentary lie. Omos has established himself as the most physically dominant
I wrote
giant.
that down. I have it down. I swear to God, if I showed you my screen, I have it down. But I said, nah, they could probably do that. It is one of my ones. I promise it's on my screen right now. Quote, as the most physically dominant giant in the history of sports entertainment is written down here. Damn it.
Yeah. No, that was not said. I made that up. I made that up. But you know what that means? That means Corey Graves really said Cody has ring rust from being away from WWE for 6 years.
Fucking believable.
It is so hard to parse out the truth from the fiction in this company.
Oh my God.
This might be the hardest game we play. This is not easy. I mean, because here's how I approach the game. I'm not only coming up with lies that are plausible, right? That's part 1. But I'm making sure to include the completely bizarre shit that they really do.
Right, to kind of take you off the scent, yeah.
Right. So that's the hard part of the game. And I did get you with one of those. The Madcap Moss is the most explosive athlete in WWE. So that's the game. Rich goes 0 for 3. So there you go.
Better luck at Hell in the Cell later this or June, I think. It's June, right? Yeah.
What I tell you about this swink, here he is in the chat, and he's saying there was a 4th lie. Joe said AJ Styles beat Edge when Edge beat AJ Styles. I don't think I said that.
Boy, I hope someone got fired for that blunder, yeah.
No, I said that AJ should have won because it should have when Punishment Martinez came to ringside, that should have counted and he should have gotten whatever his name is. He shouldn't have disqualified him for that.
He's a member of Judgment Day. Come on.
I distinctly remember saying Edge won the match anyway, but I'll have to go listen to the tape. The point is, Rich went 0 for 3 in a very, very difficult game, and that was WWE WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live event.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. I didn't have to watch it, and I had a lot of fun trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in this horrific company. So congratulations to everybody. All right, let's get to some wrestling that is actually good and is actually fun. We'll start here with All Japan Pro Wrestling's Champion Carnival. Hey, what?
I told you I liked the show.
It sounds terrible. It sounded awful, but anyway.
All right. Well, sir, you didn't watch. Okay, so I'm telling you that premium live event delivered. Anyway.
I'm never going to watch it, so I don't care. Anyway, yeah, let's get to All Japan Pro Wrestling Champion Carnival 2022 final. We mentioned it last week that there was so many fucking things going on in wrestling that there was no way we were going to get to the Champion Carnival, something that we have to cover. So we're covering it this week, and I'm glad we did cover it this week as well because they do have a series of events this weekend as well. There's Super Power Series on the 14th and the 15th. So it was a good opportunity to kind of talk about the Champion Carnival final and then also bleed into a little bit of a mini preview of the big event that they have coming up this weekend. But you went back and watched a lot of the Champion Carnival matches themselves as well. So quickly, do you want to kind of give your thoughts on what you saw in the Champion Carnival, guys that stood out to you, any matches that you might want to recommend from the rest of the tournament? Because I only saw the final, and I watched this entire final show, but I only saw the final Champion Carnival match.
All right, good, because I did not watch the whole final show. I just watched the final match, so you can quickly run through that when we get to it. But the A block, came down to Jake Lee and T-Hawk, where Jake Lee had 6 and T-Hawk had 5, and it was winner advances because Ishikawa and Shotaro Oshino also had 6, but it was impossible for either Lee or T-Hawk to not finish with more than that, even with the draw. So this was basically the A block final was winner take all, and that's how Jake Lee advanced. He beat T-Hawk clean in the middle. So they gave T-Hawk a nice little push in the tournament. They had him in a position where he could have advanced to the final, and the one draw he had was with his stablemate Erie. So, and those matches, the A block match, I watched all 3 final night A block matches, and they were all pretty good bouts. They were all, 3 1/4, 3 and a star range, 3.5 star range. These shows did not draw though. I mean, they barely put 500 people in Cork Hall for the last block of the A night. Same thing for the last block of the B of the last night of the B block. Spit it out, Joe, which came down to Kento Miyahara and Yuma Aoyagi. Miyahara, of course, Triple Crown champ, because Yoshitatsu upset Suwama and knocked him out the match before. So it was going to come down to Suwama had a chance to get to 7. Okay. Miyahara came into the final at 5, and Aoyagi came in to the final with 6. And I think Suwama had beaten Aoyagi. Let me double check that. So the point here is Yoshitatsu knocked Suwama out of the tournament with the upset. They did like a 5-minute upset between those two. So no, Aoyagi beat Suwama. So the point is Yoshitatsu knocked him out. So they did a draw though in that block final. So that's interesting and it's important because Aoyagi obviously went on to win the tournament, but he went to a time limit draw with Miyahara, but he advanced because he came into the match with 1 more point. So, and the other big key there was he came really close to beating Miyahara in that draw, and Miyahara had to be carried out by the young boys and everything. So the story of the 30-minute draw was if it went any longer, Aoyagi was probably going to beat this guy. So that's a nice little piece of booking, obviously, because then Aoyagi beats Jake Lee in the final, which means he's the next challenger, and everybody just saw Aoyagi. Yeah, even though it was a draw, he really got the better of Miyahara in the match. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So that's the idea there. So that led us to the final, and I guess we'll talk about the final match first, and then you can give quick thoughts on the rest of the card. I've done a lot of talking. Why don't you talk people through the final first?
Yeah,
so it was Yuma Aoyagi versus Jake Lee.
Yeah, and this was so they made this a big deal right off the bat because Yuma Aoyagi comes out and they have a long drawn out, like his intro music, instead of just his normal intro music hitting, they have kind of this long drawn out music that starts before his regular theme hits. And he's got an awesome theme as well. And dude came out, and I haven't seen Yuma Aoyagi in a little while. Obviously, I haven't been up on my All Japan as of late. I did not watch any of the other Champion Carnival. I just came here for the finals. He had definitely more charisma than I've ever seen. He had more confidence than I've ever seen before. This was a guy that either knew he knew he was winning the Champion Carnival, obviously, and you could kind of feel it in his confidence, like that he finally felt like, all right, these guys believe in me. I'm getting the Champion Carnival. This is a big deal. And he came out, I thought he walked out and owned the room immediately. He came out like a dude that was ready to become a star on this night. So I love that. I mean, the music was, they had this long drawn out music intro. His music actually plays. He comes out. The crowd is into him. He's walking with purpose. He's walking with confidence. He's ready to go. I felt something I never felt ever with Yuma Aoyagi before. So that was really, really cool to start out the match that way. And Jake Lee, if you've not seen him in a while, he is just kind of doing... It's a little bit different than the last time we really talked about All Japan, but he's got like facial hair now. And
he had just done the turn and did the total eclipse thing, but now it's a little more rounded out.
Yeah, he's just kind of like this. How would you describe it? He's not depressed, but he's just kind of like
he's dark.
He's dark. Yeah, he's dark and brooding. He's got, he comes out to the ring and he's wearing all this gear on him and he's got facial hair and he's got a ponytail now. He's not, happy-go-lucky Jake Lee, let's go fiery babyface thing. He's a dark, brooding fella these days, and he works that style as well.
I don't know if he was ever fiery. Babyface.
Yeah, well, attempted fiery, I suppose I should say. There was an attempt to be a fiery babyface. Whether that attempt was actually realized, that is another story altogether. But this might suit him a little bit better for what his actual personality is. is a brooding, slow, methodical, kind of charisma-less void here. But I don't mind the character. The work is still not quite there with Jake Lee, but that's fine because I thought this match was still really, really good. I thought Lee was very good in it. I thought Yume Aoyagi was awesome in this match. Just really, really awesome stuff here. He's only 26 years old, so he's got a lot of room to grow still. But this was far and away the best I've ever seen him. I never quite thought he could be this kind of guy, but on this night, he looked great. I thought Lee played his role well. I don't think Lee's that great of a worker, but that's fine. If he's going to be in there with guys like Aoyagi who are going to be good workers, if he's going to be in there with guys like Miyahara, if he's not going to be relied upon to be the hot the fiery babyface, like we said, then that's fine. Like if he's just going to be a brooding heel, that's kind of the step to the the babyface winning the top title. I'm fine with that for him because this was really good. The closing stretch was insane. The crowd was going nuts. A bunch of 2.9 kickouts. Just a really really good match. Go out of your way to check this one out. I know that Gerard, who did our review for voicesofwrestling.com, he went 4.5 stars. On this one, called it the best singles match in All Japan since the pandemic started. I think I would probably have to agree with that. I have to maybe go back and check my ratings for other All Japan matches. But yeah, a really, really, really good closing stretch. 30-minute match that just blew by. It did not feel like 30 minutes. And a lot of times, big time matches like this can feel that way, especially in an empty arena, especially in All Japan. But I thought the crowd was as hot as they could be for this. Aoyagi was good. Lee was good. Closing stretch was out of this world, and just a really, really, really good match. Go out of your way to check it out. And real, to me, a star-making performance for Aoyagi, who I thought he owned the room from the beginning of the match to the end of the match. Now I don't know if he's gonna be selling out Corkins tomorrow or whatever, but I think they've definitely got something with this guy. In a way, I felt more with him than I've ever felt with Jake Lee when they put him in this position. The 7 or 8 times they tried with him or whatever. So.
Yeah, I liked the match. I thought it was a really good match, but I had a lot of problems with it. I had a lot of problems with the match. Number one, first of all, they really position this like Jake Lee is a guy on the roster now that younger wrestlers have to overcome. He has ascended to that point. He's a former Triple Crown champion. He won the Carnival last year. And this entire match structure was Jake Lee beating the shit out of this kid. And he took 80% of this match. And then Aoyagi had to make, the big comeback in the end and kick out of a bunch of shit and then pull it off. And the way that Lee sold the loss was not like a guy who was physically exhausted or beaten. He kind of just sat in the corner and shook his head like, I let this one get away. That was kind of his mannerisms with that. So I'm going to go somewhere with that later in the conversation, but I thought Aoyagi, and you obviously can't comment on this because you didn't watch, but I thought Aoyagi came across much better against Miyahara a couple nights before because he didn't spend the entire match selling. The match structure was the opposite in that he came out looking like the superior wrestler against the Triple Crown champ. He was standing tall at the end, and part of that was because he advanced, but part of that was because he got the better of Miyahara in the match, and Miyahara limped out of that thing like he had just lost and like he had just taken a beating. And I thought Aoyagi looked great in that match, and I thought he looked inferior to Jake Lee in this match from a storytelling standpoint. I thought he looked inferior to Jake Lee and kind of just pulled the match out of his ass. I thought the work when Jake Lee was on top, which was most of the match, was a little disjointed and kind of sloppy, and that's mostly on Lee. Lee is not compelling. He's not a compelling offensive wrestler.
No, I agree. Yeah, I would agree.
He doesn't know how to fill the time. We've complained about this when he was a babyface, and it's kind of the same deal as a heel. I'm with you. I love the persona. I think he looks like $1 million and looks like more of a star than he ever did as a babyface and carries himself like a star. But the bell rings. And in a match like this where he has to carry 80% of it on top and beat down a sympathetic babyface, he's not capable of it. He just isn't. He's not, like you said, he's not a great wrestler. That his biggest problem is the most obvious problem. He's not a great wrestler. So he's kind of found some charisma as a heel. But look, he's like 31 now. It's not going to happen. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be a great wrestler. But Anyway, what I see happening here, look, this might sound crazy, okay? I can't discount Aoyagi beating Miyahara. And then his first defense being against Lee, right? Because the story here with these two matches was he did very well against Miyahara, but it was very obvious that Lee was superior to him. Lee didn't even sell the loss. Like, he just was sitting in the corner shaking his head. So, I know that probably sounds nuts, and I'm not exactly dialed into All Japan like I used to be. I crash-watched all of this, and, I'm going to pay closer attention now. But the Carnival just fell through the cracks because things were so crazy the last couple weeks. But that's the impression I got watching the last 3 nights of the tour. So, we'll see. I thought, I actually preferred the 30-minute draw with Kento and Aoyagi to the final slightly. I preferred it slightly. I thought they're both.
I should maybe go watch that. I should maybe go watch that before this week.
Underdog Fantasy is the fastest growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.
Again.
Well, see, the difference is, and I know I say this every time, and it's one of those broken record things, Kento Miyahara is just so by far the best wrestler in the company. And I watched this in reverse. I watched the final first, and then I went back and watched the 2 block nights. And it was just like, and the last match I watched was the 30-minute draw, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is just different. This guy's just another level. He's just better than everybody else. And there's some good wrestlers in All Japan. But I really love the third. It's funny because you said the final blew by. I thought the 30-minute draw, like, I was shocked when the bell rang. Like, I wasn't paying attention, right? But it's like the bell rang, and I was like, that. I thought they worked the time. I checked, and it was 30 on the dot. I couldn't believe it. It fucking flew by. I was so into that match. And I knew the finish. I knew it was going to be a draw. But I thought they worked it. So, so that wasn't a slog either. Much like and I didn't think the final was a slog. I thought you were dead on with that. The final didn't feel like I wasn't checking my fucking watch.
No, definitely not. Yeah, for 30 minutes, I mean, a lot of matches at 30 minutes, you really start kind of feeling it. I did not. That was a match when it was done. I went, whoa, nice and tidy, like 18 minutes. And I went, whoa, that was 30 minutes. Wow, good for them. Because I think that I thought they filled the time a little bit better than you thought they did. But I still agree with you in largely that Jake Lee is just, he's not to that. And that's why I said, like, to me, after this match, I thought Aoyagi, I was like, okay, I saw a lot out of him that made me believe that this is a guy that if they truly wanted to get behind and do some stuff with, I am more on board with that way, 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 way more than I was ever on board with Jake Lee becoming that guy. So I think we might be on the right path here. But like you said, there is always that worry that, that he's not quite there just yet, and that they do have to go back to Lee, or they just continue to go with Miyahara. But I guess we'll find out in a couple days, what the next step is going to be for Aoyagi. But yeah, he's only 26. So there still is plenty of time. But I mean, if I might strike while the other one's hot. All Japan needs so badly for another guy to come in there, and they need somebody other than Kento Miyahara to actually draw a house or two. So I don't know if Aoyagi is that guy, but man.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you see Jake Lee trying to politic his way into the G1 on Twitter?
No, I didn't. They're not.
Yeah.
Can you fucking imagine? No offense to Jake Lee, man, but come on, dude. Can you imagine that dude in the G1?
Listen, it's not impossible because, they obviously did the anniversary show together, right? New Japan and All Japan, which I haven't watched yet. I believe it's on, I think I saw it on the All Japan service. Is it on New Japan World? I don't know if it's on New Japan World. But
check that. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, it's not impossible. I mean, and why would he? Let me put it to you this way. If Jake Lee is not in the G1, he looks like an absolute geek for putting that out there and trying to get into the G1 if he's not actually in the G1.
Shoe fits.
So I think the G1 would be good for him because we'd have a chance to see him with a completely different set of wrestlers. And obviously he's going to have 4 or 5 awesome workers in his block, no matter what way you slice it. So, and obviously they would book him fairly well. They're not going to have him go 1-8, right? So I hope he's in it because I think it'll be something interesting. As far as this undercard, let's not do all the matches. What were your main take? Do you have any? You have 3 or 4 takeaways?
Yeah, that's actually perfect because I was thinking, man, I don't really know if I want to do this whole card.
We got to get to Dragongate anyway.
Yeah, I want to get to Dragongate. So takeaway: Hikaru Sato, Rising Hayato, good. Go out of your way to watch this match. Sato looked good. Hayato looked good. Fun finish, fun match. It was really good. Only went about 7 minutes or so, but that's exactly the length it needed to go. I don't know that I'm a Sato believer all the way, but I thought he was really good here. And Rising Hayato, I every time I watch that guy, I get more and more impressed with him. I think he's going to be really, really good. Because he's still... Am I right that he's still pretty young? Like, what's he? I have a tough time with some of these guys' age, but I thought he was still like... He's still like a child. He's 23 years old, yeah. So he's got a lot of ways to go still, but he's getting better and better. I thought this was really good stuff from him. Second thing, and you mentioned this a lot of times when you watch All Japan or you watch any company that the Strong Hearts are in, that those guys are just so much better than everybody else. Yeah. And yes, they're in there with Aoyagi, Atsuki Aoyagi, Kento, and Nomura, but like they come out and it's the same stuff that you get with all the Strong Hearts. Where the bell rings and they're wolves. They're everywhere. There feels like there's 12 of them. They're bouncing all over the ring. The crowd's getting hyped up by them. They're shit talking the crowd. It is so amazing how good these guys are, and it feels so bad. I feel so bad that T-Hawk is still just kind of floundering. Like T-Hawk's just kind of being T-Hawk, and Irie, who I think has gotten a lot better as well, is just kind of they're just doing whatever. You know what I mean? They don't have any bigger opportunities, and then you see these guys in a match like this, and they're so fucking great. And you in this match, go out of your way to watch Strong Hearts versus Aoyagi, Miyahara, and Nomura. I mean, this was really, really good stuff out of these guys. Listen to the names. I mean, it's those dudes. They're in there. They're working their asses off. But like you always say it, that Strong Hearts are just a cut above everybody else. And you see it in this match, and you see it with T-Hawk in particular. It's just what those guys do, the style they work, the way they work, how they work, everything about them is just like, God damn, these guys should be the biggest stars in Japan. They're so good, every single one of them. And they're just kind of floundering in a lot of ways and bouncing to whatever the next company that'll take them. And that's been going on for 3 or 4 years now, it feels like, with Strong Hearts, just bouncing to the next highest bidder for this day or this month or this week or this quarter or whatever.
You know what this sounds like, sir? I'll tell you what it sounds like. Gleat slander, and I like it.
You're right. I mean, yeah.
I like it.
It is. That's another company that when those guys get to the ring, they're just head and shoulders above everybody else that they're wrestling with. Just clearly, these guys are major league and that should be in bigger opportunities, and they're just not. But yeah, T-Hawk in particular was awesome in this match. Just he's so good. T-Hawk's just fucking great. And then Joe, I will. I guess I could do this as a truth or a lie, but if I told you that that one Tsuji Ishikawa pinned Satoru Ashino in a 6-man tag match, would you believe me?
I would believe that, yeah.
Well, you were correct. Suwama accidentally hit Ashino on a lariat. Ishikawa slid in and got the 1-2-3. So it wasn't a clean win. He does hit a Fire Thunder driver, though. He didn't just pin him off of the spinning lariat. He still had to hit his move. You know what I mean?
Whoa. Are we getting runaway suplex explodes?
Well, I don't know, because so what happened? So the Twin Towers, Ishikawa and Sato, are going to be facing runaway suplex on the 14th. So afterwards, you have runaway suplex, and they're not happy. Ashino's just like, what the fuck's going on, bro? What are you doing? And Dan Tamura's in the middle kind of being like, hey, it's all right. It happens. Whatever.
Yeah.
Not so fast. Ashino storms out of the ring. So, I don't know. Can they coexist May 14th? Get those tag titles. We'll see. But
does
well, they have the titles. They have the titles right now. But will they be able to retain the titles, I should say?
You know, they kept Kohei Sato out of the Carnival because that man is washed. I didn't watch the show, but is he still shaped like E.T.?
Yeah, he really is.
He looks like either E.T. or late stage Giant Baba.
Yeah. A lot of that late stage Giant Baba thing where he's like, he just kind of looks like he wobbles, like he just has no like strength in his legs.
He's got like concave chest, no shoulders, hasn't worked out in years. Just
no, he kind of looks like that still. So yeah, that's but there you go. So runaway suplex.
He's been working for the grimiest indies you could ever imagine. Look at his cage. Something called Burst. You will not even recognize the logos of these companies he's been working for.
Burst. Okay.
It is It's not good. And then, All Japan brings him in for like the Corrigans. But the guy has he's lost it. I think 0-1 cut him loose. And he's just like, I'm not working out no more. What's the point? I'm working 2AW and something called Burst.
I'm seeing here that Burst celebrated their 1-year anniversary on May 8th. So congratulations to Burst.
I tried to pitch it to you to review it, but you had no part of it. He was in the Carnival last year.
Wait. Did you watch this Burst first anniversary Burning It On show or no?
That's another lie.
Am I led to believe that this is what Cage Match has? So it has Kohei Sato and Toa Iwasaki in a 5-minute time limit draw as the main event. What?
That's what it says.
A 5-minute time limit draw?
I don't know what to tell you.
Are we sure?
That's what it says.
A 5-minute time limit draw.
Correct.
And Kohei Sato wrestled another time limit draw on the same show. Okay, hold on.
Yes, he did.
Hold on a minute. So this is Burst's first anniversary Burning It On show. The opener is Daisuke Sakamoto and Ito versus the Twin Towers. Time limit draw 15 minutes. No one's doing the JOB in that match, so we have to just go time limit draw. Then we have Drew Parker and Irie E in a double count out. No one's doing the JOB for that one, so we got to do a double count out. Finally, Daishi Hashimoto says, "You know what? Fine, I'll take we'll take a loss." So Daishi Hashimoto and Toa Iwasaka, they lose in their match, but then Iwasaka comes back in the main event and does a 5-minute time limit draw with Kohei Sato. Is this All Japan 1978, or what the hell is this show? What are we doing?
Would you be surprised to know that Kohei Sato and Toa Iwasaki own the promotion?
No, I would not.
Based on these results of neither man wanting to lose a match. There was one clean finish on the
Burst.
entire show.
Who cares?
It's the anniversary show, you monster.
Right.
What are you talking about?
We're trying to celebrate Burst here. All right. Well,
this is the promotion that Sato and Iwasaki formed when they got ousted from 0-1. And I don't think you're putting enough respect on either one of those men's names or any respect on Burst, which I definitely didn't find out just existed today 10 minutes ago.
It looks like their Energy Garden show is available to watch on their YouTube channel. But as of right now, the Burst first anniversary, what was the tag? Like Burning It On is not available right now. Let
me tell you something about Burst. They love the time limit draw. Looking at somebody's result, they love
what company,
the time limit draw.
What era do they think they're wrestling in? It's like Brody in fucking 83. Like somebody could take a loss. Like what are we doing here?
Burst.
Like Toru couldn't take a loss in this. We had to go time limit draw here. I'm watching this Energy Garden show. It's Sato and Iwasaki versus Mizuki Watase. I don't even know who that is. And Toru.
Mizuki Watase, you're talking about.
Yeah. And Toru. And they do a time limit. No, Toru wouldn't take the loss. They couldn't negotiate one of those 4 men to take a loss to get pinned.
How many shows do they have on
Why
YouTube?
is there's only in that Energy Garden show, Kohei Sato wrestles the opener.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh, so the opener is a singles match between Sato and what is it? Watase. The second match is Toru versus Iwasaka. So both those men did take losses. There were losses in singles matches, but when the tag match came, they just decided.
Rich, they have like 5 wrestlers, and they all wrestle double. They all do double shots.
Oh God, I'm kind of into Burst. Maybe we should become a Burst promotion. I'm gonna watch this.
How many shows are on YouTube?
Energy Garden is on YouTube. There's something called Anzaki base match that's on there. That's 32 minutes, and that just might be one match.
How many views does the Energy Garden show?
The Energy Garden show, as of right now, and it's going to explode after we're talking about it here, but as of May 12th, it has 271 views, Joe. So I don't love their business model.
Good God.
Don't love the business model of Burst here, but I wish them well in their attempt.
Well, they had their first anniversary, so it drew a healthy crowd of 120. Doesn't look worked at all.
They appear to be wrestling in parking lots, so this is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At least the Energy Garden show. The Energy Garden appeared to be somewhat a parking lot of some sort. So.
All right. Yeah. Well, as I said, I totally didn't.
No, you knew about Burst. Yeah.
Burst.
No, you definitely knew about Burst wrestling. So
10 minutes ago, that didn't happen. But Yeah, no more Kohei Sato and champion Carnivals. That's a positive.
That's a thing of the past, which is fine. All right, so real quickly, All Japan.
Kaliga's folding, by the way.
Are they officially folding? I think they're just doing a new GM. I think they just have a GM now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. The big announcement, the unfortunate announcement or whatever was just they have a new GM. So
that they built all that up for that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, great.
Yeah. Kaliga's still. They just ran this. They just ran today. Stars Night available. So Andy Wu defeats FG Mask in the main event. So, sorry, I spoiled it for you. I'm sorry because I know you were gonna after the show immediately go watch some Kaliga. But
big feud. All right. Dragongate, King of Gates.
Oh, we should say real quickly, Superpower Series this weekend. A great preview up at voicewrestling.com by Gerard. Also hosts the Emerald Flow Show, also on the Voice Wrestling Podcast Network. Miyahara, Yumi Aoyagi, your big match there. That's going to main event the 15th. And then, as we said, Runaway Suplex defending their tag team titles against Tsuji Ishikawa and Kohei Sato in the main event of the May 14th show. So there's some other stuff on there. If you want to read the preview, get you all set up for that. We don't have a ton of time to get into it now, but I am going to be definitely checking out the Miyahara Yumi Aoyagi match because that has a big potential to be a potential change of the guard moment there with Yumi Aoyagi getting the title. But we'll see. Kento probably retains, I would guess. But who knows? Maybe they decide to go nuts and go with Aoyagi there. But there you go. All right.
King of Gates underway. 4 first-round matches. You watched all of this?
Yep.
All right. So what needs to be watched, if anything, off of these?
All right. First thing you got to watch, they did it again. They got 2 new dudes.
Wow.
They got 2 dudes. The guys go out there. They chop the fuck out of each other. They both look great.
This Nagano and Eto?
Yes.
These 2
men?
Yeah,
2 new dudes. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
I can't believe they have 2 new guys. And apparently there's 2 more guys that they haven't revealed yet. Jay was trying to figure out what their names were. Hohola knew the names. We have not seen them yet, but we saw these guys. And I'm not calling them superstars yet. I'm not saying, but they got dudes for sure. Both these guys looked like they belonged, and they chopped the fuck out of each other and had a good little 5-minute time limit draw. So good stuff.
That would be Kato Nagano and Masaharu Eto.
Yep.
Is what you're talking about. All right. So this King of Gates, I see that Tsuji Kondo beat Kai in 39 seconds.
Yes. Oh, go out of your way, Joe, to watch this match. Everybody go out of your way to watch this match. This is why I needed to talk about Dragongate on this show. So they come out, and my man, Tsuji Kondo, is focused. He comes out. He's not slapping hands with fans. He's not doing. He comes out. He is ready to go. The bell rings. He runs at Kai. Knocks him down with a lariat. Runs at Kai again. Knocks him down with a lariat. Goes for the pinfall. Knocks him down. Kai kicks out. He goes for one more lariat. 1, 2. No, Kai gets out again. Kai gets a little bit of offense. Tsuji kind of reverses something. Takes his fucking head off with the lariat. 1, 2, 3. Pins him. Rolls out of the ring. Walks to the back. Tsuji Kondo came for blood. He's straight focused in this. This rocked. This ruled so much. And a big-time upset here in this King of Gate match as well. Kai, obviously, the big-time champion. Tsuji Kondo being, Tsuji Kondo. But this was bell ring, lariat. One reversal from Kai. Another lariat. Tsuji Kondo gets the win. Fucking rocked. Awesome. And then just doesn't celebrate, doesn't do anything. Rolls out of the ring, walks to the back. All business. Tsuji Kondo is going to win King of Gate, Joe. I can feel it.
I gotta say, I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
You ready for Tsuji Kondo to win the King of Gate?
I love Tsuji Kondo.
Yeah, it's about fucking time.
About time. He's overdue for a push
about
somewhere.
Time he gets his respect in Dragon Gate. Yeah. Goddamn right. You're going to love this. Go out of your way to watch this match. It's only going to take 39 seconds, so you'll have plenty of time to watch everything else. But
get that geek Kai out of here.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, especially him doing it to Kai was fantastic. They should just, they honestly, if I'm booking Dragon Gate, Kai's got to go with that title. This is your champion? This is the guy you're going to represent as your champion? No, not my company.
He's been okay as champ, to be fair.
He's been fine.
He's not jumping jacks Kai anymore, but point stands.
With a loss like this, I don't think he deserves to be that champion anymore. But yeah, this rocked. Go out of your way to watch this, man.
What else with the tournament matches?
Yeah, so I'll real quickly go over because I know we're running a little bit low on time here. Kakuta getting the big win over SB Kento was nice because obviously they have a long history between those two guys as well. So Kakuta looked good again. He seems to be fully healed and ready to go again. He is no longer Hip Hop Kakuta. He's gone back to the original name. He's gone back to the original focus here. He was really good. SB Kento is tremendous. This was really good. 7 minutes, just under 8 minutes. So definitely check this one out. I'd really say all the King of Gate matches, I would say, were Shun Skywalker and Eita.
Does Kakuta still look like Jordan Oliver?
Well, yeah, he didn't get a new face when he got hurt. Yeah, it was only his shoulder that got hurt. He did not get a new face, unless he does still look like Jordan Oliver. But similar to Jordan Oliver, he has definitely put some mass on as well. So
we have influenced WrestleCon Super Show matches before.
Yeah.
I want to pitch officially.
Yeah, Rob Viper, are you listening?
Yeah, a tag team of Kakuta versus Jordan Oliver. I want them to be in a tag team against whoever you want to put them in there with. But those two men, I'm convinced, somehow are related.
Yeah, and can do twin magic during the match too.
Yeah.
Roll out of the ring and the tag team partner
Absolutely.
pins the guy and the other guy runs in. They could definitely, absolutely do that. Yeah, they're separated at birth in some way. Yes, like Gordy and Takeshi Morishima, like something happened.
The joke was with Morishima that Terry Gordy fucked Margaret Cho at some point, and the result was
Bert.
Takeshi Morishima.
I mean, it's hard to dispute, and the timeline kind of works, right? I think people made it. No, it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't at all. Oh, right. Yeah, we came with the timeline, and it's not good for Mr. Gordy. I guess, right? Yeah, that's...
No, and Margaret Cho just like lives in San Francisco, like,
right? So it would be very bizarre for that to happen. So
impossible.
Impossible. We don't know impossible, but very unlikely that it happened. But anyway, all right. Quickly, some of the other stuff. But the tag matches were fine. Nothing to really stand out. Gold Class, they're just in a class on their own. They have awesome music. They all come out with great gear. Those guys rock. King of Gate, Shun Skywalker, Eita, probably my least favorite of the King of Gate matches. Still pretty good, but Eita, I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on Eita some of these days. Especially full-on chicken shit asshole lucha influenced Eita is a little too much for me. It's just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, he's just a little too grimy at this point right now. So, and Shun Skywalker is a little bit more of a character guy for me right now than kind of a bell-to-bell guy. So I thought this was okay, but not great. I mentioned Tsuji Kondo and Kai was awesome. And then the main event was Yamato versus Yuki Yoshioka. Go out of your way to watch this match. Awesome stuff here. Yamato still can go. This dude's slowing down a little bit, but can still absolutely go with the best of them. And Yoshioka, I don't know, God, why I had trouble saying that. Looks really good here as well. He is going to be a dude. They know he's going to be a dude. They're pushing him like a dude. He gets a big time win here against Yamato. They're pushing him. He's in the main event of the opening of King of Gate. I don't know if he's going to win the tournament. I have no idea what the booking of the tournament is. I'm going in having no clue who's going to win, and that's fine. I don't care. I just kind of want to watch the tournament and see who emerges. But I would not be shocked if he gets a win or wins this entire tournament, because they clearly have big hopes for him, high hopes for him, and the right to have that. They definitely have a guy in their hands, a future dude here. Yamato looked good, as he always does, as he has for the last 20 years at this point. So that was good. So yeah, if you can, really watch all the King of Gate matches. If you must skip one, Shun Skywalker and Eita, I think you can skip. Do not skip Kondo and Kai. It's 39 seconds. Don't skip it. Why are you going to skip it anyway? The main event, Yoshioka versus Yamato, and Kakuta versus SB Kento, all worth your time. And definitely watch the exhibition match between the two new young guys in Dragongate, because they've fucking done it again, and they got two more guys coming down the pike. So there you go.
It's King of Gate, and I think that's the flagship.
That is it. We are out of time. So again, flagshippatreon.com for all of our bonus content, everything else we do, all the $5 stuff, all the $10 stuff, written reports, written columns, exclusive news, exclusive scoops, everything you're going to possibly want to know about this Kota Ibushi situation, we will tell you. We have sources that we know nobody else has, so you're going to get a lot of stuff on that Kota Ibushi situation. You're going to get there. You're going to get the Thursday tier reviews. You're going to get live Instant Reaction lives. Double or Nothing later this month. You're going to get Instant Reaction live on that. You're going to get everything we do. Slamboree, Jamboree, Mountain Dew reviews, all that other stuff is going to be up at flagshippatreon.com. And then again, voicesofwrestling.com for all the reviews and previews of all the stuff we talked about. And also the Voices of Wrestling podcast network, where you can follow. We have shows about everything in the world of wrestling, AEW shows, All Japan and Noah shows, just everything we got there. Dragongate specific shows, music on the mat, all that sort of stuff is up there at the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. WCW reviews. You want to talk about WCW Thunder? You want to hear a review of WCW Uncensored 1999? You can get that on the Voice of Wrestling podcast network. It is all available there. So that is there. You speak Spanish? We got a Spanish language podcast too. We got it all there at Voice of Wrestling podcast network. So that is that. Also, voiceofwrestling.com/Discord if you want to join our Discord as well and join the conversation. So that is it. That's Joe. I'm Rich. We'll talk to you next time.